forgot to ask where he stayed, but he said it was a pleasant stay.
Well, I think they book their vacations 2 years in advance, so I don't know if he would.
They may, yeah.
But that's an interesting
way
to do it.
The room was hotter than normal. It was.
Honey, why are you peeking out the window and spying on the neighbors?
I can't stop watching what they're doing to their house. Look at that. They added a sunroom and put in a pool. Do you think they won the lottery?
No, not the lottery. Julie and Jeff got a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank. They're using the equity from their home to renovate.
Really?
Yes, Adirondack Bank has home equity rates as low as 3.99% annual percentage rate. You can access the equity in your home to fund almost anything.
Huh. Maybe we should call Adirondack Bank. What about a new kitchen? Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the roof. Oh, and even take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about. And, of course, I need a new car.
Slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank.
Stop into your local Adirondack Bank for more information on home equity loan rates as low as 3.99% APR. Or call 877-404-2265 for credit costs and terms. Apply today at AdirondackBank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Spring brings all around us the promise of new life and new beginnings. Those new beginnings can mean a number of different things. For many in our area, a new beginning can mean the difference between living a life of purpose or a life of despair. There are many whose bad choices have led them into a world of substance abuse, while others have innocently suffered neglect and abuse. Each person deserves a chance at a new beginning, and you can help make that happen with a simple donation to the Rome Rescue Mission. The Rome Rescue Mission strives to meet basic needs such as food and clothing, but more importantly, provides emotional and spiritual support. This spring, as we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, consider providing a new life for someone who needs it. Please donate now at romemission.org. That's romemission.org. Rome Rescue Mission, a hand up, not a handout.
Here at Lee Baldwin & Company, we're always doing the math. So we're asking everyone to take the 4% challenge. And here's how it works. You look at your savings, IRA, or other investment accounts and see if you're getting close to 4% interest on your cash. If not, just give us a call for a comparison of options available today. For your trouble, we'll offer you a cup of coffee for taking the time to hopefully have your money work harder for you. Oh, and don't forget to ask about even higher yielding CDs. Please call us at 315-734-1410 or visit our website at leibaldwin.com, Leigh Baldwin.com. We're a member of FINRA and SIPC, and all our CDs are FDIC insured. So take the 4% challenge and have your money work harder for you. And as always, you do the dreaming and we'll do the math. LeeBaldwin.com.
Hi, Laura here from the Old Wicker Mill. Do you realize Easter is early this year? It's this Sunday. Are you ready? Not to worry, the Old Wicker Mill has everything you need to make your Easter perfect. There's goodies like jelly beans, chocolate pizza, chocolate-covered Peeps, chocolate-covered Oreos, and fun toys, books, puzzles, and a new large shipment of Squishmallows just arrived to fill those little ones' Easter baskets. Maybe your team would like something unconventional, like a bog bag, Vera Bradley tote, or maybe a Pandora ring. And of course, you'll need something new to wear. The Old Wicker Mill was voted the best women's fashion store in Central New York, with great brands like Habitat, Charlie B, Jess and Jane, Lulu B, and Ethel, just to name a few. So I'm sure you'll find the perfect new addition to your wardrobe for Easter, or just spring. So for all your Easter needs, it's the Old Wicker Mill. We're conveniently located at the New Hartford Shopping Center. And remember, everything we carry is fun, functional, and affordable.
Warner Sales and Service, building relationships, building trust.
This is Lynn from Warner Sales and Service. Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf Zero-Turn Mowers. Hustler mowers are designed to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf Zero-Turn Mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. It's your chance to be the envy of your neighborhood. Come see us at Warner Sales and Service on the Greenway New London Road in Rome, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona. and we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. Find us at warnerss.com.
Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
It's time to start the program. It's time to earn our pay. It's time to meet the people on the Keeler Show today.
It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen? Keeler's always in the know. It makes me want to call him and tell him where to go.
And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
So I was going to do a little celebration dance here this morning, like my sump pump's working, so I celebrate. But you're having a real flood in your basement,
Yeah,
right?
I got at least 2 inches of water in my whole entire basement.
Do you have a sump pump working there?
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't kick on.
Oh, boy.
I have no idea why
Do you
it
have
didn't kick
two?
on.
Do you have two?
I do. The second one's not plugged in. It's more of a backup, but all the hose and stuff that goes with it is kind of tucked around the machine, and it's got to go out a window, and I can't just have the window propped open with that.
Yeah.
But the other one is a cord that runs through a pipe that's like right through the brick basing of the foundation of the house.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, you could tie the one hose into the other hose. Have a plumber do that. But having that backup is very helpful. When we had, this would have been 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, when it rained so much. We had all the flooding, and it was brutal. I had both sump pumps working, and that was the only thing that kept water from getting in our basement. They both were working 24 hours a day. So one was working today. I got to say, I was driving through the rain last night when it was coming down hard. I was driving through a lot of standing water on the arterial. I don't know if that ended up getting bad. I drove through probably over Clinton Road, about a river basically coming over Clinton Road, and it's still there this morning, so be careful of that. Probably about 6 inches of water you're driving through. And it's, so I'm assuming a lot of people out there are waking up to just what you've woken to, and that's a flooded basement. Not good.
Not fun. No, this is it actually happened before. It might have been the same year, but it was 5-6 years ago. And what happened in that particular case?
That was bad then.
There was some piece of debris, like, I don't know, like a styrofoam cup from a coffee mug that had gotten sucked up into the pump. And it was. So
it wasn't, right?
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't know why it didn't kick on today. I didn't have a chance to fully investigate it, but it's a complete disaster.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of an update, today and the weekend looks better. So if you're getting some flooding right now, and what'd you say the Frankfurt Center Fire Department got nailed too?
Yeah, yep.
Some
Frankfurt Center Fire Department.
bad flooding. But the word is that we're looking for basically cloudy skies today, and then sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So things will begin to dry out. That's a very, I guess I'd call it lucky, right? If we were going to be getting heavy rain through the weekend, we'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's where we are, what you're waking up to here this morning. Hopefully it's not too bad in your house and in your basement. There's a story up on our website. It is Easter, and it is, it's early this year. And Easter is this weekend, so do you buy does the Easter rabbit come, the Easter bunny, whatever it's called? Do you buy, you get your... I just would hope there's a story on our website. You can check it out at WIBX950.com. I would love it if you would consider shopping local and putting local chocolates and candies and all that into the Easter basket. Nora's Candy Shop, the makers of turkey joints. There's a story that goes through the whole history of how that, that goes back, that turkey joints and, Nora's Candy Shop on Dock Stater goes back to, I think, 1972. But prior to that, it goes back to 1921 at a restaurant in Rome called Candyland. That's where it all came from. And then 2 years before that, it was at a confectionery, a candy manufacturer in Syracuse, which is where the turkey joints started. And that recipe traveled to Rome and stayed there since 1921, where the turkey joints are still made. But they also make a ton of other chocolates at Nora's Candy Shop, the home of turkey joints. And it's all family operated. It has been since 1919. Full story is up on our website. It gives you the history of all of it. And there's a really cool piece of history in this if you check it out. And speaking with Spiro for the story, Spiro is and his wife, they own Nora's Candy Shop. And do you know that they were in a David and Goliath battle in court back about 18, 20 years ago with Hasbro and with Toys R Us? So it was Toys R Us and Hasbro versus the Nora's Candy Shop and Turkey Joints and Candyland, because they owned the name Candyland. Now, Parker Brothers started the board game Candyland, and then Hasbro purchased it, and they wanted to do food, Candyland food and candies and all sorts of stuff to be sold at Toys R Us, through the Toys R Us stores throughout America and in Times Square in New York City. And Spiro was like, wait a minute, you can't do that. We own the trademark Candyland when it comes to anything that would be food and candy. So they went to court. And it turned out that, you are in such a tough position when you take on a big, major company, one of the largest toy companies in the world, and little Nora's Candy Shop. And it was very difficult for them, and they just kept getting eaten up in the system. They would have won, but they just couldn't keep the legal fees at bay.
They kept getting chewed up, no pun intended.
No doubt about it. And the story is in there, and there's an awesome story that Spiro told me yesterday that I didn't know. There's an awesome story about how they came to finally settle. And it's how we all want to be if we're ever taken into court by some giant conglomerate. You would want to be this person. You would want to be Spiro. Check that out on our website. It's WIBX950.com, and the story is about turkey joints, the history of turkey joints, chocolates, and there's a little history of Easter candy and how we got here with the Easter baskets and the rabbit and all that stuff.
So Mark commenting this morning that, first of all, the creek is very high over by Rite Aid in New York Mills, apparently, which is right by where I live. The other thing, did they change the name after going through all that? Did they change the game to Liberty Lane? That's what he was commenting.
What's Liberty Lane?
Apparently, he said, I loved Candyland, then it became Liberty Lane.
Well, the Candyland closed in 1971, I believe. The restaurant closed, and it probably did become something else.
Okay.
After the restaurant closed, I don't want to give away the whole story. I'd love you to get in there and read it. But after Candyland, the restaurant, which served turkey joints, and, over the years, that was the one thing at the restaurant. Think about this. This restaurant had been open since 1921. And through World War, through a depression, through, all of this, Vietnam even, the assassination of a president, the Cold War, the one thing that remained constant was the sale of turkey joints. That's the one thing. So when Candyland closed, Spiro's dad bought the recipe. So it was 8 brothers that basically ran and operated Candyland and turkey joints and the restaurant. So one of the brothers, and it's Spiro's dad, who was an employee at Candyland, but was one of the ones who made the turkey joints. So he bought all of the machinery, all of the equipment that it takes to make this candy. If you've ever seen it made, it's incredible. And it's a secret. Spiro doesn't ever want to show anybody because it's a trade secret. And they bought the recipe. His dad in 1971 bought all the equipment, moved it to Dock Stater Street, and Nora was Spiro's mom, and the candy shop was named after Nora. So it was Nora's Candy Shop, Candyland Original Turkey Joints. And so that Candyland brand went all the way back to 1921 for them, and they ended up having to give it up.
Because of a stupid board game.
Because of a board game that you'll play when you're a child and never play again until you have one, a child.
Actually, there was... So I hate to say this way, but I have really great memories of the board game Candyland, because it was something that was like probably the first game, that and Old Maid, that my family would play with me. I specifically remember the game. I believe it's still in our attic. But today, there is a version of Candyland. I mean, the game was basic, right? You roll or whatever, and you got whoever goes furthest.
It was easy enough for toddlers to play.
Right. Well, my son actually has, and he's outgrown it, a Paw Patrol version of that, where you just roll a dice or you just flip a card or however you advance. But it's just a trail along a little board game with like some scenic background, and whoever gets across the finish line first wins. But that's really unfortunate that happened to a local company and they basically got, I don't want to say taken advantage of, but got, kind of run through.
They got sucked up by a big conglomerate. Yeah. They couldn't keep up when it came to legal fees. But it's a great story, and they have such amazing, delicious chocolates over there. If you and we got like every year to buy, and it's been a tradition for us. They have a large, you can get them small or large. They're all chocolate Easter baskets. I end up eating chocolate for weeks and weeks, screwing up my diet. This is what happens. But it's an Easter basket made out of chocolate, filled with a whole bunch of chocolates and candies, and it makes for a great centerpiece at your Easter dinner table. So think about that and check it out. And if nothing more, get the solid chocolate bunny for your kid made locally. And by the way, this is not a commercial. I just love those guys. Okay. Flooding. Let's talk about it a little bit here this morning because it is a problem. We're dealing with the Oriskany Creek. We're dealing with Oneida. We're dealing with the West Canada Creek. All are over their flood stage. All are flooding today. There's a lot of it, whether it be in your basement or in the roads. As you're driving along, especially before it gets daylight, be very, very careful. You may be flying along, and all of a sudden you come upon water crossing the road. Just be careful out there. There is a lot of it out there, so beware. This coming weekend, a ton going on. Let's see. I do have an update. Hold on here. Oh, and this is where? This is from Steve Spurbeck showing Albany Road. I guess I don't know where that is exactly, but Albany Road, where it's just washing right across or right up to the road. So there's a lot of this all over. Be careful out there this morning. There's just a lot of flooding to deal with. Let me break first. Coming up, Dr. Shemileski and Dr. Zielinski will be in. We're talking about a family doctor. You might have some questions. I have a few of my own. We'll get to that coming up. Also this morning, we'll do County Executive Anthony Pacini, who yesterday had his State of the County. And we'll talk with him about that. Scott McNamara. I want to get his take on the school swatting incidents that are happening all over the country and all over New York State. It's a real problem. But also, I'd love the DA's take on the Manhattan DA's case against former President Donald Trump. And Utica Mayor Rob Palmieri had this week, it was 2 days ago, had his State of the City. We know that Mayor Jackie Izzo will do hers at the beginning of May. So that's still to come. But this week It'll be focused on Utica. Mayor Rob Palmieri will be on the radio this morning at 8:25, and a whole bunch more to get to, including Hobica's free money question of the day and more coming up for Thursday morning here on WIBX.
Just admit it, you love yard sales, but only one thing beats driving around looking for them: attending the world's largest yard sale. Great news, it's back and bigger than ever before. Who thought it could get bigger? The world's largest yard sale is coming to the Herkimer County Fairgrounds on Saturday, June 3rd. This is your chance to sell your stuff to the thousands who attend the world's largest yard sale. It sure beats putting up your own yard sale signs all around town, hoping for a crowd. At the world's largest yard sale, all you have to do is get a booth, and you get to keep all the profit on everything you sell. Cha-ching! Hurry and reserve your booth today, because it's filling up quickly at a record pace. The world's largest yard sale, Saturday, June 3rd, at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds.
Brought to you by the Potting Shed Antiques. Sponsored by Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating, and Oak Hill Motors RV and Marine. Find out more on this station's app.
Spring has sprung. It's the Strong Spas Factory Store Spring Sale all month long. Sangertown Square. Blowout prices on floor models and factory recertified spas. Clearing out the floor to make room for more. Immediate delivery. It's a spring super sale at Strong Spas. Visit the largest spa showroom in the country. Huge savings. Price to move. See for yourself. Find them in Sangertown Square and ask about their financing options for credit qualified buyers. Get in your spa at Strong Spas. Hurry, these spas won't last.
Hello, I'm Mary Bogdan, Chief Executive Officer for Hospice and Palliative Care. A patient's wife recently shared her thoughts about their experience with hospice and palliative care. Recently, my husband and I embarked on the journey of life that comes to us all. Our involvement with hospice is what made all the difference. Everyone who touched our lives during those 7 weeks helped us more than you know. His nurses, the spiritual care coordinator, the on-call nurse, who came to our door at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the people on the phone who offered compassion and just listened. The entire staff will always be in our grateful thoughts and prayers. The work hospice does is extraordinary and will never be forgotten by our family. We thank you with a grateful heart.
Hospice and Palliative Care, servicing Oneida, Herkimer, and Madison County. Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford, 315-735-6484, or visit us at hospicecareinc.org. Hospice and Palliative Care. When you need us most.
Guys, fellas, men, are you roaming ready for the weekend? Right now, generic Viagra, aka Sildenafil, is just $4 per dose at Roman. Just complete a free online visit with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, Roman sends what you need in discreet packaging with 2-day shipping. Generic Viagra from $4 at Roman. Go to ro.co/bed. Do it today and get 20% off your entire first order. That's ro.co/bed.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Couple things going on. The Masters gets underway today. And when do they start teeing off? I know Tiger is teeing off at 10:12 today, right?
Yeah, there's a group going off at 8 o'clock.
Okay, at 8 a.m. So, also yesterday, this was interesting. See if I can find it. Again, I had it here. Yesterday was the what was yesterday?
The par 3 contest.
The par 3 contest was yesterday. And I believe somebody, hold on. How did I lose it? I had it right here. Anyway, there were 2 holes in one
Bubba
yesterday.
Watson had one, who plays for the Live Golf.
Okay, yeah. And Seamus Power hit back-to-back holes in hole. Would it be a hole-in-one? Holes in one. Or hole-in-ones, however it's supposed to be said, at Augusta for the par 3 contest. Here's the audio. This is the audio on Seamus from yesterday.
It's Seamus Power, downhill, 114 yards. There has not been a hole-in-one yet today. That sure sounded like a hole-in-one, Ward. This is Seamus Power on 9.
Have the proper speed. It looks good.
Seamus Power on back-to-back holes.
Well, there you go. How about that, huh? And on back-to-back holes, let's see. And then there was one more thing that I wanted to squeeze in. Did we lose Jeff?
He stepped out for a minute.
Okay. Today is National Twinkie Day. And I had one more thing. You can bring in Dr. Zielinski and Dr. Chmielewski. Let's see. I've just lost everything. It's a terrible day. Everything's up in arms. We got to bring in the doctor. He'll figure it all out. But the Masters begins today. That is a telltale sign that spring is on the way. Oh, and here's what I did want to get into. It's Richard this morning who's piping in to explain how we're in for a real treat coming up over the course of, after we get through the clouds of today. We're in for quite the treat, and it's going to be sunshine. He says, both of you guys, you could both come in here without getting too close. I know that's you can swing the microphone around a little bit. Both the next 9 days, according to Richard, we're looking at sunshine. And it looked at next week, temperatures as high as the 70s and 80s for next week. We're in for some really, really cool weather. Pretty excited about that. All right, gentlemen, good morning. Dr. Zielinski and Dr. Chmielewski from the Falcon Clinic. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
All right, anybody have any flooding out there this morning?
There was, some small branches there and water as I was coming here. I had to kind of be careful driving.
Well, I think a lot of people are dealing with it in their basements today, in those areas that are prevalent when it comes to flooding, and some of the creeks that have been fairly high. Man, the rain just kept coming down yesterday afternoon, and it caused that flooding. So today we wanted to talk about a little bit about the importance of, and who wants to take this first, the importance of having a family doctor. Start with Dr. Chmielewski.
All right. Well, actually, Brian and I, we had a discussion a little bit yesterday about this, and we wanted to talk about this because there's so many people that don't want to go to the doctor.
Right.
Or they think I don't have any problems, or I especially don't have any pain, because that's a major draw for people to go to the doctor. And so he and I started talking like, why would we go to the doctor in the first place?
Right.
Brian, remember that?
I do. And if I may, an analogy that I would offer is, when you own a car, it's generally a good idea to take the car in for regular maintenance. And I would argue that it's a good idea to take the same approach to your own body.
Yeah. We probably do a better job with our cars than we do our bodies.
And I'm sure for some people that probably is the case. But, if just like your car, even if it's not making any funny sounds or not leaking from anywhere, it's still a good idea every so often to, take it into the dealer and make sure that everything's okay. You can anticipate problems ahead of time. And our bodies work in much the same way. Oftentimes, there are no red flag symptoms as far as pain or, nausea or something like that you might experience to cue you in that there might be a problem going on. So sometimes with regular checkups, checking things like, blood pressure and sugar and cholesterol and vitamin levels, we can anticipate things ahead of time before they become big problems and also very expensive problems.
Right. Just like, I hate to say it, but it's just like your car.
It is.
It really is similar. I just had this feeling, Dr. Chmielewski, that this is more of a problem with men than it is with women.
I would definitely agree with that. Most of the appointments are by women on there.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why other than assume that women are more of the caregivers within families and within the society, keeping traditions going and so forth. But going to the doctor, you can think of either as symptom-driven or in terms of prevention. And while those are great things to do, I know one of the words that came up when Dr. Zielinski and I were talking was a conversation.
Yeah.
And actually, he was really eloquent with that. I wonder, could you expand on that a little bit? A conversation with your doctor. Why would you have that?
So one of the things that's nice about having, and I'm sure at some point during this conversation we're going to talk about the importance of the annual physical. Sometimes when you go to a doctor and you go with a specific complaint or concern, like low back pain or diabetes or depression, and as important as all those things are, it can kind of prevent both the physician and the patient from addressing other things that either the patient or the physician might be concerned about. And an example that I would offer is I had a gentleman who came to me for an annual physical recently, and he was very healthy, wasn't even taking any medications, as a matter of fact, but he had some concerns about heart disease because his father had a massive heart attack.
Okay.
So even though I had no reason to suspect that this particular individual had anything wrong with his heart, at least at that time, that was an opportunity for us to have a dialogue about things that he can maybe do to get ahead of the game as far as, diet, exercise, many of which he was already doing. And that also even segued into a discussion about this particular gentleman was in his 50s, which I think is still pretty young in the grand scheme of things. But when would be a good idea for me to start, thinking about getting a will and healthcare proxy and all that stuff. And I think because there wasn't a plethora of other things that we needed to address at that particular visit, we were able to really delve into those other topics that maybe we don't get a chance to talk about as much.
All right. I think that it is important to do that, and, and I think we avoid it, which we probably shouldn't.
There is a mandate, if you will, there from New York State, at least to get tested once for hepatitis C. How many people wake up in the morning and say, I need to go to the doctor and get hepatitis C?
What are some of the symptoms of hepatitis C? And by the way, if you're a baby boomer, because of possible transfusions and the way that we practice medicine at that time, there's a chance that you could have hepatitis C.
Sure. Well, it's all the way from nothing to having even liver failure, which is pretty rare on there, or liver cancer. But most of the people, if they have anything at all, they might have maybe a little bit of generalized fatigue.
Okay.
Or maybe a little bit of joint pain, which covers just about everything.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we do testing for different things. And lo and behold, something else shows up.
And that is hepatitis C is 100% curable today.
I would say the first time around with the medicines we have, it's like 98, 99% curable, and sometimes you have to have a second course of treatment.
Okay.
We've been doing hepatitis C treatment at the Falcon Clinic for a few years, easily more than that. And with the medications we have now, which basically you take a medicine once a day for, depending on the medicine, 8 to 12 weeks, with almost no side effects.
Yeah.
And, and the people, we can actually say to them that they were cured on there.
I have somebody asking, by the way, it's Dr. Shemolensky and Dr. Zielinski from the Falcon Clinic in here. Somebody asking about they're dealing with a loss of strength in their legs, aches and pains. Is it possible something like that could be caused by Lyme disease? What are the symptoms of Lyme disease?
Again, just like anything else, any disease has a time course, and it also has everything from no symptoms to a full-blown attack on there. And then again, some of the testing doesn't actually, you don't actually find the diagnosis with a test. The tests we have are pretty good.
What is the test, by the way, for Lyme disease?
There are two of them. There's a test for acute phase reactant or IgM test, a blot test, and then there's an IgG test for having had the disease before, and it's about 80% on there. But getting back, as far as what you get with Lyme disease, it can be all the way, again, from something that seems like an arthritis type thing with joint pain, fatigue, weakness, and so forth. Sometimes the heart can be involved, a weakness of the face there, we call it Bell's palsy.
People can even become paralyzed, right, and wheelchair bound especially if they had Lyme disease and didn't realize it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can affect the nervous system if it's left untreated.
What is the test?
What is the test?
How is it, a blood test?
It's basically a blood test on there.
All right.
Very simple.
So I'll say with Dr. Zielinski, if people are looking for a new family doctor, maybe they might not have a new family doctor. It's a pretty simple process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happily accepting new patients. In fact, the person who posed that question, I would strongly recommend that they give the office a call, and we'd love to take a look at you and see what needs to be done and go from there. But yes, I'm taking new patients, and I'd be more than happy to have anybody who's interested in having a new PCP.
Okay, and I'll sign the HIPAA form. I'm currently going to the Falcon Clinic for in dealing with my sleep issues, which are kind of a bit rare. Would you say rare? Like a night terror type thing is fairly, I would think, rare. I don't think everybody's going through it.
I would think in today's age of stress,
maybe
worry,
more increased than anything
finances,
else.
late in the pandemic, depression, and all that. I would have to say when I talk to people, I would say probably half the people have some type of a problem with sleep.
Right.
And that, again, is one of the things we talk about. Normally, you don't go to the doctor and say, I have a problem. Of course, you said you did. But when we interview people, or they interview us, actually, we talk about different things, about, food and allergies and all that stuff and vaccines and everything. But it's important, like, are you sleeping?
Right.
How good is your sleep? Because that's a restorative thing. And if you don't get that sleep, your body is in a constant state of stress.
I cannot imagine what it's like when, I don't have a problem sleeping. I have a problem getting a good night's sleep and these night terrors. But for people who have insomnia and they can't sleep, it is it's torture.
Right.
Which is why this program is here. We put people to sleep every morning. It's part of our goal.
Hopefully not at the wheel where we are.
Good point.
I just want to say that, like, when we were expecting my first child, my son Ben, and we went to a great obstetrician, and if I can say his name, Steve Kirshner. He's no longer practicing. He was in New Hartford. And we went there specifically to interview him. That was the reason for the visit. We wanted to know, like, how would he handle the birth and so forth, and it was a good session there.
Actually, he passed the test?
Oh, very much so. He saved my son's life.
That's awesome. A physical exam on an annual basis, very important.
I would certainly advocate so. For the purpose of not just treating issues and problems that have already arisen, but prevention of new problems and keeping the patient healthy. And I like what Doc and I said before about an opportunity for the patient and the physician to have a dialogue, and the patient and the physician and checking in with each other and are we still a good fit for one another? Because patients' priorities change over time. Doctors change the way they practice over time based on experiences they've had and new guidelines that have come out and so on and so forth.
I have in one comment of my own, and I have one more question that I want to throw in at you from a listener, and mine is the possibility of just that annual exam and the blood work catching something, and that early detection, especially when dealing with cancer, can mean all the difference in the world when it comes to treatment.
And that's another very big purpose of the annual physical. One of the other nice things about the annual physical, including in our office, is most offices allocate more time for annual physicals than problem-focused visits like sore throat and low back pain and stuff like that. So that really gives us time to go through the patient's history very thoroughly. And really tailor the approach to that patient's risk factors as far as things like heart disease and cancer and stuff like that. But yes, absolutely, there is a plethora of evidence to show that things like mammograms and colonoscopies and pap smears and prostate cancer screening have saved countless lives.
You hear these stories of people who caught something bad early, and it's treatable because of that.
Now, one of the other things that we do, because, it's an osteopathic clinic, of which I guess we're the only really premier osteopathic clinic in central New York, is we also do structural examinations, because the musculoskeletal system, which is 70% of our body weight, integrates with the nervous system, and it can sometimes reflect internal diseases, but in and of itself, you might have somebody with shoulder pain, neck pain, or so forth, or they might have some problems emotionally, okay? And you mentioned insomnia, for example. But people can have some depression, fatigue. Stress is a big one. And our body is kind of like a barometer. It carries a lot of stress in it. And some of that stress might be in the stomach with heartburn. Some of it might be neck and upper back pain because we're constantly tight and worried, or headaches, et cetera, et cetera. And so the structural exam that we do is something whereby we can intervene in that person's nervous system. I tell patients, we're actually talking to their nervous system. And a lot of times that, along with things like counseling, supplements, change of diet, behavioral changes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes even we'll use medications, if we have to use them on things, to intervene in that circuitry, into that musculoskeletal system. So that's part of the reason people come to the Falcon Clinic for osteopathic evaluation.
It's the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills. Docs, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Stay young and healthy.
And stay out of the flooded roadways. If there are any, you come across them, be careful out there. A lot of flooding. 6:56. Davey, quick break. News coming up top of the hour at WIBX.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the New Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them 315-724-6767 and online at HNHMedicalNY.com. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies, we make life easier.
Hi, this is Bill Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We are expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville. They are another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy and fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here is William Schaub from the newest Gates Cole agency, North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville.
Working with us as an independent agent with this many companies, we will often call our clients and say, we're going to reduce your premium if you like. We have the companies that do well in New York and specifically this area. The coverages that we provide are commercial and personal insurance. That's the home, the auto, ATV, motorcycle. There's nothing more fun than taking care of a customer and being able to tell them that we're able to save them some money.
Proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York. Gates Cole Insurance. We'll take care of you.
Don't catch the wintertime blues. Swing into golf savings at 15 of the area's top courses for $75 with the Town Square 2023 Seize the Deal golf card. Yes, that's right. $75 gets you 15 rounds of golf. Some courses include Valley View, Twin Ponds, Crestwood, Pine Hills, Sequoia Knolls, and more. There are a limited number of cards available, so don't delay. Get your $75 Town Square Seize the Deal golf card at seizethedeal.com.
Refresh and renew your home this spring with Little Falls Lumber. They're fully stocked with secondary grade metal in all colors and 12-foot lengths. An affordable option for fixing utility sheds, roofs, or garages. Looking for lumber and tired of the warped pieces from the big box stores? Then go to Little Falls Lumber where they stock only premium grade lumber. Stop in to one of their 3 convenient locations: Little Falls, Syracuse, and Schenectady. Little Falls Lumber, helping you refresh and renew this spring. Call 315-823-2470 or visit littlefallslumber.com.
Well, listen, we know Fred F. Collis and Sons for heating and cooling, but do you know, Fred F. Collis and Sons, heating, cooling, and insulation. For years, they've been doing insulation. It plays such a major role when it comes to heating and cooling your home efficiently. Just think about it. If you heat your house, and you turn up the thermostat, and the heat is just kind of flowing outdoors, and the cool air is just breezing in, you have a problem. It's certainly not efficient. It all begins at Collis with a free, absolutely free home energy assessment. My wife and I had this done at our home. They walk through, they look at your bills, your energy bills, the time of year. They look at the construction of the home and the time in which it was constructed, what kind of insulation was being used, and what happens to the insulation from that time period. And when they're all said and done, they give you a whole list of recommendations, and it could include an improvement with insulation. And there are government programs out there that will assist and get it done for you, in some cases partially, in other cases all the way. Call them today for details and get that free home assessment. Fred F. Collison Sons, heating, cooling, and insulation. WIBX, Utica, Rome.
Democracy is under threat. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That warning from Taiwan's president during a meeting with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California. China claims Taiwan as its territory and has moved ships and planes closer to the island.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy reflects on lawmakers from both sides of the aisle meeting Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen at the Reagan Presidential Library.
America's support for the people of Taiwan will remain resolute, unwavering, and bipartisan.
Saying the U.S. must continue arms sales to Taiwan and strengthen our economic cooperation with trade and technology. Adding it's not the U.S.'s intention to escalate tensions with China, which threatened consequences over the visit.
The world wins when we have peace. The world wins when we have respect for one another. The world wins when we have more democracy and more freedom.
The White House says there's no reason for Beijing to overreact. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
3 Tennessee House Democrats could be expelled in a vote today for taking part in a protest at the Capitol in Nashville last week.
The protest was anti-gun violence, and it comes in the wake of a shooting at a Nashville school that left 6 people dead. Among those dead, 3 9-year-old children. At one point, the 3 Democrats actually took a bullhorn on the floor of the House. They led spectators in anti-gun chants. Eventually, this led to a scuffle between one Republican lawmaker and a Democrat.
Fox's Steve Harrigan. The murder of tech executive and Cash App founder Bob Lee remains under investigation in San Francisco.
Officers finding the 43-year-old father of 2 fighting for his life after he was stabbed multiple times outside of a luxury apartment building early Tuesday morning. He was rushed to the hospital where he later died.
Fox's Todd Pyro. Iran and Saudi Arabia have agreed to reopen embassies in each other's countries. They severed diplomatic relations in 2016. There's also talk about resuming flights and expanding other cooperation between the 2 countries. America's listening to Fox News.
Greetings, Sebastian Gorka here. For years, I've mentioned how much Relief Factor has helped the pain in my lower back. Gary from Ohio shared his experience too. He writes, I tried Relief Factor due to its botanical ingredients to reduce pain in my shoulder, knee, and lower back. After just a few weeks, the knee pain was completely gone, and the shoulder and back pain were reduced quite a bit. I can now exercise much more comfortably and practically pain-free. Thank you, Relief Factor. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. So it looks like a lot of people are thanking Relief Factor. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick start at the reduced price of $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Feel the difference with Relief Factor. relieffactor.com.
Mostly cloudy skies. It is starting to dry up. 54 degrees. WIBX news time is 7:03. Some heavy rain overnight causing flooding in some areas. Be careful out on the roads. We'll take a closer look at your forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Oneida County Executive Anthony Pacenti taking aim at Albany in a scathing State of the County address on Wednesday, calling out actions by state lawmakers as among the largest issues facing county residents. He said bad ideas, worse execution with zero input from local government and agencies that actually do the work every day. He was referring, of course, to bail reform, mental health issues, housing of the homeless, and renewable energy. You can read more about his speech yesterday at WIBX950.com. On one issue in particular, when it comes to bail reform, Pacenti saying that the county will add security cameras at all county-owned or affiliated facilities, along with high-crime, high-density main streets. He said when a crime is committed at those locations, we will see you, catch you, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Artifacts from the September 11 terrorist attacks will be coming to an Oneida County community later this month. Tunnel to Towers Never Forget mobile exhibit will be at the Griffiths Business and Technology Park in Rome coming up on April 20th through April 23rd. People will get a chance to see things like building pieces and items found in the rubble after the towers collapsed. Firefighters are also going to be available to discuss their experiences at Ground Zero. A face-off coming this weekend between Utica police officers and Utica firefighters. They'll meet on the ice at the Adirondack Bank Center on Saturday afternoon. and a charity hockey game to benefit the Save of the Day Foundation. The foundation was launched by Rob Esch and raises money to enhance the lives of children and families throughout the Mohawk Valley and provides grants and support to a variety of local organizations. The game between the Utica firefighters and Utica police is set for 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Admission is free, but officials say a donation to the Save of the Day Foundation is appreciated. And Breeze Airlines extending its sale on flights from Syracuse Hancock International Airport to 3 popular destinations. Flights to Charleston, South Carolina start at $49 from April 19th through May 23rd, and from September 6th through November 13th. Flights to Las Vegas begin at $110 September 6th through November 13th, and flights from Syracuse to Tampa for only $54 from April 19th through May 23rd. Full details online at flybreeze.com. Does this sound like a good deal to you, Bill?
Yeah, but you got to be willing to. What's the airline again?
Breeze.
Breeze, yeah. You got to be willing to flap
your wings when you're in the air
on their schedule. That's part of the problem. If you can just take off when you want and come back when you want, you're okay.
Yeah. Got to do a little wing flapping.
But those are pretty cheap, yeah.
Yeah, that's $54 to Florida and $100 to Las Vegas. Anyway, full details online. Here's your forecast from Eyewitness News Chief.
They're probably taking you, by the way, to now Vegas is one thing. I think a lot of people will use it for that, but we're coming up on the humid season in Florida, so when people move back up here,
that's true.
Come on down to the humidity.
Yeah, that's true. Here is your forecast.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint at the WIBX Weather Center today. Cooler, but still mild. Lingering rain showers taper, then partly to mostly sunny. Turning windy and cooler by late day. Temperatures drop into the 40s. Tonight, mainly clear. Colder, low near 35. And on Friday, a mixture of sunshine and clouds. Windy and rather cool, a high near 45. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
Right now, cloudy and 54 at 7:07. All right, in sports, I had to scour the earth, Bill, but I did find somebody who agreed with me. The Giants have committed to Daniel Jones under center for at least the next 4 years, but one NFL executive says he is not a fan. According to The Athletic, an anonymous NFL executive recently ripped the Giants' decision to sign Jones to a long-term deal. The executive also believes New York should have invested their money into Saquon Barkley instead. The Giants signed Jones to a 4-year, $160 million contract extension earlier this offseason. I'd like to know this executive's name because I'd like to give him a high five. The guy knows what he's talking about. Baseball yesterday, the Mets unable to avoid being swept. They lost 7-6 to the Brewers in Milwaukee. Adam Ottavino was tagged with the loss, allowing a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. Pete Alonso slugged a pair of homers and drove in 4 in defeat. And Francisco Lindor was 3 for 4 with a pair of RBIs. The Mets now 3-4 on the season.
They blew that game yesterday. Terrible.
Fortunately, again, I missed it.
They were up by 2. They allowed Milwaukee to tie, and then end up losing the game.
Mets return home. They'll host the Miami Marlins in their home opener. Again, the Mets now 3-4 on the season. Mets receiving some good news about their ace. Justin Verlander underwent a follow-up imaging on his throwing shoulder that showed reduced inflammation. Verlander has been on the injured list since opening day due to a strained muscle. The Mets announced the 40-year-old will continue throwing and that additional updates will be provided when appropriate. The Yankees took the Phillies down in their rubber match. 4-2 was the final. Garrett Cole earned his second win of the season, striking out 8 batters and allowing 1 run over 6 1/3 innings of work. The Knicks winning streak now up to 5 games. They took down the Pacers last night, 138-129, in a game where both teams refused to play defense. Emmanuel quickly led all scorers with 39 points. He came within 1 assist of a double-double. The Nets have won 4 of their last 5. They beat the Pistons 123-108. Hockey, the Rangers, back-to-back winners. They stomped out the Lightning 6-3 at MSG. The Devils have 4 games remaining in their regular season, including tonight's battle with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Islanders are in control of their own playoff destiny. New York hopes to take a step closer to the postseason when they host the Lightning tonight in Almont. The Utica Comets have just 4 games left on the schedule. They include, 5 games left on the schedule. The next 4 are home games. They'll play tomorrow night at the Adirondack Bank Center against Toronto and Saturday against Rochester. So we are winding things down in hockey, both pro and AHL level.
All right. We got a break. We have a lot to get to here this morning. That includes County Executive Anthony Pacini. We'll speak with him.
Yesterday, man. He tore into state lawmakers.
After his very emotional and riveting county executive address from yesterday. We'll get to that. Also, Micah's free money question of the day. Scott McNamara is on. And one of the questions out there that we were asked to ask, and we will get into it, in addition to bail reform, in addition to these swatting incidents that are being phoned in and emailed into school districts, is how would he handle this case that the Manhattan DA is handling, bringing a case against a former president of the United States. So we'll speak with him on that. You want to pipe in? Our phone lines are working today. It's like celebration time. We have phones. It's almost as if we've entered a new level of technology. You're not going to believe it. The phones, actually, the people can call us and brings right into our board, and I pot it up, and bingo, the person is on the radio. This is an amazing concept.
This is going to revolutionize the radio business.
It might. We'll get to it coming up, 7:11 at WIBX.
Hi, this is Tom Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We're expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville. They're another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy. That fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here's Greg Lee from the newest Gates Cole location, Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville.
The reason why I got into insurance was I wanted to allow my father the opportunity to retire and give back to my community. You know, we had the Boonville fire that wiped out a large area down here for us a few years ago, and so we showed up at the fire. You know, we were right there, ground zero, with our insureds, who made sure that they were taken care of quickly. You know, we were able to get people the money that they needed to cover their expenses from that loss.
For insurance for your home, auto, business, and just about everything else, trust your local independent insurance agency, Gates Cole Insurance, proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York.
Spring has sprung. It's the Strong Spas Factory Store Spring Sale all month long. Sangertown Square. Blowout prices on floor models. And factory recertified spas. Clearing out the floor to make room for more. Immediate delivery. It's a spring super sale at Strong Spas. Visit the largest spa showroom in the country. Huge savings. Price to move. See for yourself. Find them in Sangertown Square and ask about their financing options for credit qualified buyers. Get in your spa at Strong Spas. Hurry, these spas won't last.
It's April, and you know what that means? Taxes are almost due. Jackson Hewitt can help you win tax season. That's the sound of your maximum tax refund. The sound of getting 50% off tax prep. The sound of many of our competitors' prices going up. And the sound of getting to your nearest Jackson Hewitt. Hurry in for 50% off tax prep before this offer expires April 9th. Limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Spring brings all around us the promise of new life and new beginnings. Those new beginnings can mean a number of different things. For many in our area, a new beginning can mean the difference between living a life of purpose or a life of despair. There are many whose bad choices have led them into a world of substance abuse, while others have innocently suffered neglect and abuse. Each person deserves a chance at a new beginning, and you can help make that happen with a simple donation to the Rome Rescue Mission. The Rome Rescue Mission strives to meet basic needs such as food and clothing, but more importantly, provides emotional and spiritual support. This spring, as we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, consider providing a new life for someone who needs it. Please donate now at romemission.org. That's romemission.org. Rome Rescue Mission. A hand up, not a handout.
Hi, Laura here from the Old Wicker Mill. Do you realize Easter is early this year? It's this Sunday. Are you ready? Not to worry, the Old Wicker Mill has everything you need to make your Easter perfect. There's goodies like jelly beans, chocolate pizza, chocolate-covered Peeps, chocolate-covered Oreos, and fun toys, books, puzzles, and a new large shipment of Squishmallows just arrived to fill those little ones' Easter baskets. Maybe your team would like something unconventional, like a bog bag, Vera Bradley tote, or maybe a Pandora ring. And of course, you'll need something new to wear. The Old Wicker Mill was voted the best women's fashion store in Central New York, with great brands like Habitat, Charlie B, Jess and Jane, Lulu B, and Ethel, just to name a few. So I'm sure you'll find the perfect new addition to your wardrobe for Easter, or just spring. So for all your Easter needs, it's the Old Wicker Mill. We're conveniently located at the New Hartford Shopping Center. And remember, everything we carry is fun, functional, and affordable.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend, Davey. Chris Monty is the headlining comedian. And the show's Friday night and Saturday night. We'll give away a pair of tickets. No, make it a table for 6, Davey. Go all out, man. Table for 6 for the first caller through the phone lines with Davey at 315-736-0186. Davey, you're there. You're answering. I can't see. There's a reflection.
I'm here.
You look like Cuomo. We have Cuomo in the window there. It's terrible. All right, take it away. First caller through the lines. You walk away. Winner this weekend, Easter weekend at Fat Cats Comedy Club. Coming up next weekend, Bob DeBono. I believe I was watching the impression of Trump the other night on SNL. DeBono is so much better. It's unbelievable.
The sound. I don't know what he looks like, but the sound, he sounds just like him.
You'll see. You got to go to the website and look at his picture. He's able to dress and look like Trump. You know, it's a parody of Trump, but he's there. You got to check it out. Bob DeBono, probably the best Trump impersonator and the funniest Trump impersonator in the country.
Oh, my goodness.
Will be tax weekend, April 14th and 15th at Fat Cats Comedy Club in Washington Mills.
He's got the
inside Tony's Pizza.
He's got the Make America Great hat again, and then you can tell he has heavily dosed the spray tan.
Oh, he has. There's no doubt about it.
He's orange. He's
so,
orange.
Since the indictment of Donald Trump, as long as we can parlay into this, since the indictment, do you know what has happened? Trump is raising millions of dollars.
Sure, yeah.
So they're using it as a fundraiser, and it's working. As Lindsey Graham said, please, just give him something. Give this man money to help him fight the defense, because you know Trump's poor.
Did he say that?
Yeah, look it up. It's there.
Oh, God.
And he did it with tears in his eyes. You know who else is making a huge bundle of cash? Well, there's an entity and there's a person making a huge bundle of cash. The entity is Pornhub. The person is Stormy Daniels. Do you know that since the indictment, Stormy Daniels, this is Tuesday alone, the day of Trump's arrest, searches for Stormy's videos on Pornhub jumped to 650,000, which is a 32,400% increase compared to the first 3 months of the year. It's a 32,000% increase.
Well, I guess we know how the hookup happened between Trump and Stormy Daniels. Nobody else was interested. That's what happened, apparently.
I guess.
Until now.
Now everybody's interested. National Twinkie Day is today. You know, the Twinkie used to be like a banana filling inside the Twinkie, and it did not go well. And all of a sudden, the Twinkie company, whatever, somebody had the bright idea of just putting cream in and getting rid of don't be fancy, just put cream in. And the thing took off. It became a huge deal, I believe, for Hostess. The Twinkie is celebrated today. By the way, it's the very same Twinkie that was made 100 years ago. It still exists today. They say a Twinkie would last forever.
That it would outlive a nuclear blast or something.
Yes, it'll be the Twinkie and a cockroach sitting in a tree.
So,
oh wait, the tree didn't survive.
Now what happened? It was Hostess, or it is Hostess now?
I think it might have been Hostess. I think Twinkie was
didn't it go out of business and then somebody bought it and then started selling them again?
I think Twinkie was created in the 50s, and I do think something happened. But I think Hostess may have gone out of business.
Okay, January of 2012. This is via Wikipedia.
I remember we talked about it on this very program.
Yeah, and it would have been shortly after you got here.
Yeah.
January 11, 2012, parent company Hostess filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Twinkie sales for the year as of December 2011 were 36 million packages, yada, yada, yada. Hostess and customers had migrated to healthier foods. Yeah, right. In November of 2012, Hostess officially announced it would be winding down operations and had filed a motion with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court seeking permission to close its business and sell all of its assets, including the iconic brands and facilities. November 2012, Hostess and Bakers Union agreed to mediation, delaying the shutdown for 2 days. March of 2013, it was reported Twinkies would return to store shelves in May of that year. Twinkies, along with other Hostess brands, were purchased out of bankruptcy by Apollo Global Management for $410 million.
Yeah, I think it still exists. You can still get the Twinkie.
Under the Hostess brand, too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wild. Davey, you want to add to it? Is that your favorite little treat, the Hostess Twinkie?
I do like Hostess, but
Yeah.
I mean Twinkies, but my favorite are the Ho-Hos.
The Ho-Hos, yeah.
Yes, but he loves a Ho-Hos.
I'll never forget the first time that we had a microwave oven. We put the Ho-Ho in a microwave oven and gave it about a 15-second blast. Man, that was good.
Did it blow up?
No, yeah, I took it out of the foil.
But you can't.
Don't put it in the microwave with the foil.
Well, I mean, even if you put it in without the foil, won't it explode at some point? It gets so hot.
I imagine it would, but you don't. It's like when you're trying to melt butter and you've forgotten and you didn't leave it out, and if you put butter in and you put it on for 30 seconds, it's going to explode all over your microwave.
Correct.
But if you continue to do it in 10-second bursts,
right,
it will not. It'll melt ultimately, and you will not have a problem.
That's how I do for when my son gets the popcorn. He wants an extra butter on it.
It's how I go to the mailbox. 10-second bursts. I get about 8 or 9 steps in, and that's, God. All right, let's do it again. And I burst again. That's not that way. But someday it probably will be. It'll be how I'll go to the mailbox. Yeah. There he goes. He just gave his first burst. Yeah. Rest time. Rest time. Michael says, I'm having Collis come in today and getting an estimate on insulation and ductless cooling today. And I'm going to tell him Hank sent me. That's funny. I love it. Hank Brown was the king of talking about businesses with live commercials. Mike says Hank is only trumped by Joe Lode. And Joe is the king of the plug.
Yes, he is.
There's no doubt about it. Mike also says Hostess Twinkies went out of business because they decided to change the filling from cream to Grandma Brown's baked beans.
That was a good one.
And what happened? Are they back yet? The beans are not back. This is a big weekend for Grandma Brown beans.
Really?
I don't know. Do people have them at their Easter dinner? I'm sure somebody's like, Mama always made Grandma Brown beans at Easter dinner, and this year we can't have them. What are we going to do? Because I think that Grandma Brown beans and ham go together. Or maybe Grandma Brown beans is just for a barbecue. Or you're going out. 4th of July. Sorry, Davey. I knew I screwed that up. After Hostess went under, Grandma Brown went as well.
Hey, you remember, get back to Hostess.
Tight on that mic because since I fixed it, the level the level is very low.
You remember the Hostess store over here in Whitesboro?
Yes, you could go there and get bread and everything.
And Twinkies and
store.
Yeah.
I miss it too. There was one, I don't know if you'd call it East or West Utica. It was a couple of blocks below Bleecker, about a couple of blocks east of the county office building.
Yeah.
And they had a bakery over there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
It was
that.
like a giant, whatever was in Whitesboro, this was like, 3 times the size.
I knew somebody who used to go over to Hostess and buy up the old bread, the day-old bread, and sell it to people.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. This is what we're going to do today, just what Davey did. Remember that Hostess store just down the way there? Yeah. I miss that. Remember that Ground Round over by Sangertown? I miss that.
I missed a ground round. I missed a ground round over in Riverside.
Remember those? I miss. There's so many things that I miss. I can't go on any longer. Enough of this. You know what my wife misses, and it's starting to finally come back. Her ability to smell. And since having COVID, I think she's had it twice, maybe 3 times she's had it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if her ability...
Lost her ability, could not smell. In fact, coffee was the biggest thing. Coffee smelled like garbage to her.
If you walk outside right now, I'd be interested to know what she thought of the scent that is outside. With the rivers and the streams backing up, and then the ground is soaking wet, all that mud, and there's worms everywhere. I swear, to me...
Is that an awful smell?
I think it's terrible. To me, it smells like a can of worms. If you were to get a jar of worms to go fishing, I mean, it is just a... It makes me nauseous to smell it out there. You could smell it everywhere. And if you take Mohawk Street from Marcy to Whitesboro and you have your windows open...
Some of the problem you're going to have is some of the flooding has probably brought some sewage up to the...
To me, it's not even a sewage smell. Yeah. It is an earthy
First day of fishing smell.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Well, it's April, man.
It's brutal. John in Rome, real quick, says the statement from the mayor about having cameras seems like he's watched the movie Taken a little too much. Just to be clear, that was a statement from the county executive.
Okay. Oh, the county executive said. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're following.
I'm sorry. So he
I'm not
commented
following what you're saying
on the news story at the top of the hour about addressing crime locally.
Right, putting cameras out. That was the county executive.
Yes, it was not the mayor.
Back to my long COVID and my wife not being able to smell coffee. You think that's not a big deal? It is a big deal.
No, I think it's
when
a huge
someone
deal.
Can't smell, it's a big thing. So there is a video out that's been going viral that I think is quite interesting. This is not my wife, but listen to this long COVID patient who is starting to get, I believe this is a woman, starting to get her smell back, and this is how she reacted when she smelled coffee for the first time in 2 years. Listen to this.
Don't tell me she cried.
Smell it first. See if you can smell it. Is it normally would you be able to smell it?
I'll tell you. She's crying.
Is it strong? Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to love the fact that you can smell right up until the point that you come up to your husband and like, oh, my God, I can smell him now. Oh, God. My wife, it has been very emotional for her.
Are you serious?
Extremely. Oh, it's been, I don't believe that she cried like that, but it has been depressing, and it was very depressing for her to not be able to smell anything. She couldn't smell everything. Well, it either was she could smell something and it smelled bad, or she couldn't smell it at all. And I was going through something. I must have had COVID and didn't know it. But I was going through this thing for about a month where everything smelled like cigarette smoke. Oh, wait a minute. I was around Jeff. No, really. Everything smelled, and I hate, no offense, but I hate the smell of that. And I couldn't get it out of I was thinking about literally putting like Vicks Vapor Rub under my nose. And I don't know what was causing it. And I was looking it up, and everything came back to COVID or some other thing that they had some big name for it. But I don't have that. I don't have it now. It's gone away. But it was so annoying and sickening. It was starting to begin to bother me. So I can only imagine what people go through when like for instance, you have your cup of coffee in the morning and it smells like garbage, and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And other things smell or don't smell.
I mean, you'd rather not smell than have everything smell.
You'd probably rather not smell. Yeah, you're right. But I'm not saying that she broke down crying, but I will tell you that it was emotional. And it's one of these things where you don't think about it until it's not there, or you don't think about it until it is there. The bad smell,
Now,
I got to tell you something. For me, though, I loved it. She said I smelled like lilacs. It was something. But lilacs are another thing. When you smell a lilac the right way, it smells beautiful. But if you get the wrong whiff of a lilac, for me anyway, it smells putrid.
Really?
So maybe that's why I smelled like lilac.
I got to get your opinion. I mean, listen, anybody listening to this, go
I'll
outside
go out
and smell.
Outside, yeah. I'll tell you,
it's brutal.
I'll tell you what I honestly think.
The only thing I can compare it to is when you open up a jar of worms.
I do it often.
That real earthy. Well, if you ever been fishing.
Yeah, I have. 10 elementary school kids in Massachusetts were hospitalized after consuming very spicy gum. This is not a drug-induced thing. It's not anything like that. It's really The bubble gum was measured at 16 Scoville units, which was a hot pepper bubble gum. I guess you can buy it online. Okay. And the kids ate it, and 16 on the Scoville scale, I guess, is really, really hot.
Okay. Have
you ever had anything so hot that it burned your lip?
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, a friend of mine has a game that comes with a different kind of hot sauce, a bunch of different hot sauces.
That's cool. There's a video out there, too, on YouTube where they interview the person while they're eating hot wings. Here's one of the students and Fire Chief James Young Jr. talking about what happened with this very spicy bubble gum. Here we go.
A little crazy. I got a little scared about all of it.
Which is... Kid can't even talk after he ate the bubble gum. It's terrible. You can't even understand him.
Equivalent to basically what's commonly referred to as pepper spray. So it's a very spicy or hot agent that the kids were exposed to. It can cause skin irritation as well as respiratory and airway inflammation.
Yeah, and they're chewing it. Can you imagine if the kids swallowed his gum? Every kid swallows their gum.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. What else did I want to get to here this morning? A South African plane had to make an emergency landing. I am just so sick and tired of all these bad airplane stories. Every day there's a new one. Some weirdo decides he wants to open up the door in the middle of the flight. What the hell is wrong with you?
He said they couldn't smoke on the plane.
Yeah, he wants to open up the door. You know that he opens that door, which he really can't.
Yeah.
He'll go flying out.
And most of the people probably in there, right? Or at least that's what happens in movies.
It would suck people right out. That's why I always wear my seatbelt on a plane, no matter what I do. I wear it as often as I... And then the turbulence... That is like knocking people. Turbulence so bad that it's knocking people's heads right into the ceiling of the airplane. I mean, it's terrible. It's getting to the point where the more these things happen, the more I think people are going to be scared to death when it comes to flying. A South African plane had to make an emergency landing after a deadly cobra. Fox News covered this morning. After a deadly cobra was found in the cockpit. How in the heck does this happen? It's a South African plane. That's how. The thing must have crawled in somehow.
Oh, my goodness.
At points during the ordeal, pilot Rudolph Erasmus could feel the snake slither down his body. And he was able to stay calm. This was a deadly cobra. That a bite from this cobra, the man would be dead in 30 minutes, according to authorities.
Goodness.
And he just let the snake slither. He didn't make any fast moves and did an emergency landing of the plane, and all ended well.
Well, he deserves an award, no question about it.
No doubt. Here he is, actually, during the moment. They have him on the cabin camera. Here's the audio of it.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!
Yeah. That's real audio. That's real audio. That's the pilot. That was the pilot.
That was a very smooth edit, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All these snakes on this Monday through Friday plane.
And how about this story? A Texas man says a glitch in the Find My Phone app, which if you have an iPhone, you have that on your phone. Apparently, there was a glitch, and it has led almost a dozen people to his home. These are all unique people. These people have all had their devices stolen.
Okay.
And for some reason, when they do the Find My Phone app, it's directing them to this guy's house. And they're all knocking on his door saying, I want my phone back. Scott Schuster is explaining what has been happening at his house. And he has some of the audio from this one's real, has some of the audio from angry people at his door on his Ring camera. Here we go.
Had to wake up and go answer the door and explain to them that I don't have their device. And people don't tend to believe you.
Well, the cops are on their way over here, so you may want to come talk to me before they come here.
There's plenty of irrational
That's
people
a woman
in the
who
world
thinks
that if they're angry, if they're drunk, if they, have had a rough night and they lost their phone and thought it was stolen, that's my biggest concern. Someone coming into the house potentially with a weapon.
Yeah, I want my phone back.
He should be able to sue somebody over this, right?
I would think he could be able to go after Apple over this, to be honest. It's crazy. We're going to have the county executive in studio. Actually, he's in right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Keep typing it. He's shutting off the Find My Phone on his phone right now. Let me break. We'll come back. Davey, let's do Hope Mike is Free. Can people call in today on the regular phone line? I love it. Let's do our Hobica free money question of the day. Chance to win $100 plus more from the Hobica Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobica. You dial in right now at 315-736-0186, and Davey is going to select which caller?
Caller 4.
The fourth caller through the lines right now. Caller number 4. You'll play the game and win. Then after, just before 8 o'clock, we'll announce a money code where you could win even more money just by plugging that code in on our website. We'll explain how to do that right now as Davey takes the calls. Fourth caller right now, chance to win from Hobica and WIBX.
From screen printing and embroidery to promotional products and online shops, it's all under one new roof at Max's Print Shop in Marcy. Order anytime and any quantity in person or online at maxsprintshop.com. Since 1978, we pride ourselves on personally meeting every customer's need. We can take your project from design to production. And remember, Max's Print Shop will stitch anything. And we mean anything in the Utica-Rome area. Find us at 9555 River Road in Marcy or online at maxsprintshop.com.
Discover the difference that comes from a financial partner committed to building better tomorrows. I'm Jim McGuire with Baird Private Wealth Management in Utica. As a provider of trusted financial services in Utica, Baird is committed to making the future brighter for you and for our community. That's why we support local organizations like the Women's Fund of Herkimer and Oneida counties and the Capitol Theater in Rome, because we care about Utica. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdUtica.com.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the New Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them 315-724-6767 and online at HNHMedicalNY.com. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies, we make life easier.
Spring is on the way, and if you're looking to make the most of it in a new RV, camper, boat, or trailer, then look to Mohawk Valley FCU. Right now, you can get up to 120-month financing for as low as 5.74% APR for any new recreation vehicle. That's 120 months of financing for as low as 5.74% APR. Go to MohawkValleyFCU.org for more info and to apply today. Mohawk Valley FCU, member-focused, member-driven.
Hey, spring is finally here. In fact, Richard warns us it's going to feel like summer next week. We're going to hit probably temperatures up into the low 80s on a couple of days next week.
It'd be great for drying out my basement.
And you're going to need it because a lot of flooding going on, and we'll have probably 8 or 9 days of sunshine. Pretty good.
Excellent. That's what I need.
Time to open your windows and open your doors. And New York Sash says, are you ready? They can help. Right now, you can save 20% off. The New York Sash spring sale is underway. Wouldn't it be nice to have brand new, easy-to-open windows, no more drafts, no more peeling paint or rot or frames that stick? Think windows that open with the slightest touch and are super easy to clean. Or maybe it's time to swap out that door. Entry doors, storm doors, sliding patio doors. New York Sash can match your home's exterior. Keep your home energy efficient, even keep your pets safe with custom doors made just for you. One of our New York Sash windows, my wife opened and cleaned it, and for some reason, something happened when she put it back, and it took it out of gear, and all of a sudden the top came down. So we made a phone call, and instantly they came and they fixed it. Put it back into the track properly. That's the service you get. You know your windows are 100% guaranteed for the life of your home. Now is the time. The New York Sash spring sale is going on this week when you can save 20% off new windows and doors. Stop by the New York Sash showroom located on Riscety Boulevard in Whitesboro, or get a demonstration or price quote online, NewYorkSash.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All righty, it's 7:39, and let's go to Jerry in Herkimer. Hey, Jerry, good morning.
Good morning.
You ready to take a shot here at our free money question?
Going to give it a shot.
All right. I just have this psychic feeling that you're gonna pull this off. I have a feeling. All right, you'll have 7 seconds. It's from the Hobica Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobica. Any of your legal needs, call them today at 315-724-1600. All right, here's your question. Which golfer celebrated 2 hole-in-ones or holes-in-one at the Augusta golf course yesterday? Ready? Go.
Oh, I have no idea. I couldn't even take a guess.
Well, you're not going to get this one. All you had to say was Tiger Woods. At least that would have been an answer, but it wasn't Tiger. You know who it was?
No, I didn't see it.
Seamus Power during the par 3 yesterday
Isn't he a professional wrestler?
had 2 hole-in-ones in a row.
Get out of here.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Too bad it didn't count.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Too bad it didn't count. You're right.
I'm right. I mean,
Yeah,
he'd rather
yeah.
have that today than
You're absolutely
tomorrow.
right. You're right. Listen, what we're going to do, though, for you, Jerry, is I have a table for 6 at Fat Cats Comedy Club with shows this weekend on Friday night and Saturday night through the month of April, and then they take the summer off. So get in before the summer is underway and early before the month of April is done to check out top-notch comedy every weekend at Fat Cats Comedy Club. And if you make your way over to the Adirondack Bank Center or any of the restaurants associated, including Aquavino, which is wonderful over at the old Outback Steakhouse in New Hartford, Babes, 72 Tavern and Grill, Taylor and the Cook, and the Adirondack Bank Center concession stands or the Nexus concession stand. So you have a lot of choices. It's a $25 gift card. These gift cards are available at the Odd or any of the participating restaurants. And I think we have you all taken care of. Jerry Davies going to hook you up.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jerry. Seamus.
Have a good day.
If it comes up on Jeopardy tonight, Seamus Power.
Okay.
There you go. Stand by. Davey's gonna hook you up. Thank you, Jerry. In studio right now, he knew the answer to this. Is County Executive Anthony Pisani.
I did not.
You didn't
I did
know.
not.
Did the Yankees? Well, they won last
Yankees
night.
won yesterday.
Yeah.
They both the day game.
Mets have lost 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Swept by the Brewers.
Milwaukee really pounded too.
Cannot. Yeah. Terrible. Yesterday you had your county, your state of the county, and it was quite fiery.
Yeah, that's what Jeff
Yeah.
thought.
He doesn't.
Maybe a little bit on some points, but I think it's just, just the facts that, what's happening in Albany and how that affects local government. I tried to drive that home a little bit. I try to do that all the time, but I think sometimes it does. Whether it gets lost, and it hasn't, because I don't know how many times you've had the sheriff, the DA.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's
talk about bail reform.
We'll have the DA next hour.
Yeah, the other thing, is the housing piece, the solar piece. I mean, all of those are really overreaching. I mean, it's really getting. I mean, we talk about government overreach. I mean, this is really, going beyond that on some of these things. That especially the home piece. I didn't even get into some of the natural gas and that part of it.
Well,
but that's all.
And they're
all
starting to
plays
walk that back a little bit.
well, they are. They but because they
because it's impossible to be done.
It's not only impossible; it's unreasonable. It's not even safe.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, too. Look, everything has risks. Electricity has risks.
Sure.
Gas has risks.
Right.
All of it has risks. And so, the point of, not really looking at it and the bigger scope of things. Again, New York, I've been saying this for the last 10 years. We have to be first, but we're never right about it. We just have to be first in it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, you can make a correlation there between the media. You want to be right or you want to be first?
Well, the rule is
in this case, you're really messing with people's lives, and livelihoods and business and building and communities. And so I thought it was important, especially on the solar and the agriculture thing. I mean, that really is a siting issue that can cause a lot of problems in terms of farmland, and it needs to be protected. And so we just highlighted a couple of those areas.
You said early on, and this is true, and we do this to you as well. You said the media always asks, what's the big shocker this year? And I have to say, in sitting through it, I thought you did take some shots at state lawmakers. But
I feel like I'm the one that's led that.
You have. I was going to use your name, but
because I just enjoy a good party, and when the bombs are flowing, and but I just. It's funny because for maybe 2 or 3 years in a row, you would give your state of the county, and I'd get all these calls like, I can't believe he said that.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering. I don't know that you had. Did you have any big ones?
Not really. I mean, I talked. One of the shockers I really highlighted at the end, which really wasn't a shocker, but was really a point to bring around what county government does, and a lot of talk about economic development, and we talk about housing, and we talk about crime, and we talk about. And it's election season, so that's when it gets real silly, and everybody talks about taxes, and we got to lower taxes, and we got to cut taxes, and we got to do this, and all good, all things that are relevant. But what do we do every day? And I brought home the point of, the ending. I mean, or near the ending, I asked everybody to stand up and relate to the point of, the number of people in the room are the number of child protective calls we get in a month.
Think about that.
And actually, it's more. I mean, we get about 410. We didn't have that many in the room, but we, about in the last month, 410. Child dies, a child abused, the child's neglected. I mean, goes hungry. I mean, those are the things we deal with every day. And I thought that it was relevant. When I kind of brought it back around and said, "You want to know something shocking? Here's something shocking that we don't talk about."
Right.
And I know you do. I'm not saying you don't. I mean, but it's not a front page story. The way everything else is. It's not and we could, the tragedy is you could do one every day.
Yeah.
And highlight some kind of point. So I brought that around a little bit, and but we had a couple initiatives in there. Shark Tank,
I think that's really cool. They're going to do a local Shark Tank type of a program.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, we want to, and we talked about building it. So we talked about building upon Nexus. And I went through a list of states of that we just know in the last 2 months that have visited here. People from as far away as Wisconsin, Nevada. I mean, so all over not just the Northeast. We just were focusing on the Northeast. I mean, we had people from across
the tournament
the country
or for
development
for the tournament. Yeah.
Oh, you saw a license. You can tell by the license plates. Texas, California.
Right, yeah. Nevada, Wisconsin, Utah.
Yeah.
And, we went through, whole list, and then obviously East Coast, Massachusetts, New Jersey, just go on. And we started out by saying, we need to survey them a little bit because, we're new, we're opening, but we've got that development that we talked about. And, we've been trying to figure out, I've been in a lot of discussions with Rob Esch, with the Oneida Nation, with Anna and others, and to say Anna D'Ambrosio from Munson, what else do we need down there? What can we do? Well, now we're going to go and ask the people. We're going to survey people that come. What did you like? What do you think we need? What's next? Or what can we put over here?
Those are the people that will say to you, "I can't believe you don't have blank."
Right,
and
exactly.
That's important to hear.
And then we put out, and then we go over to the Shark Tank model and say, okay, give us, here's.
Are you
just
Mr.
a spattering of things?
Are you? What do they call him, Mr. Money, or whatever, Mr. What do they call him on Shark Tank? The whatever.
I can't think of.
But and then look at
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful.
You're Mr.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if anybody would characterize me as that.
Wait a minute, Lance and Lee just said, "Yep, he's Mr. Wonderful." All right.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. And then invest in it or incentivize and say, okay, here's what we can do. And so I think a little creativity, but also. Not just us saying, we're going to put this here and think that that's what you need. Let's hear from people. And these are people that travel around the country for these events. So,
they're going to be the ones to know.
They're going to be the ones that know. They're going to be the ones that, and the connections. And
you're always going to get that one. It's like, we went there and I can't believe they didn't have blank.
Right.
And it's those little things that we might have overlooked. But they have a lot of, I think that a lot of stuff has been thought of. Even the big thing today is carrying around your water jug, your water mug, and having that the drinking fountains
filtered.
They're filtered and they're set to be able to fill a taller a glass, and it's
exactly.
I think those things those little things do play a role. And you mentioned the Oneida Nation is they're celebrating their 30th year. How do you see them? How do you see the fit? And if you see the fit here, as you did before, with maybe some casino operations downtown.
Well, I still, look, I've never discarded that idea as something that I think, when you look at places like, like Schenectady, that has done that and has been successful, and is in the harbor area that has, built around the downtown. I mean, where they are, can stimulate other activity and investment, and so. But it's also been, what is the other connection that we can make with them? We did the AHL hockey All-Star game, and there's more coming. Just stay tuned. We've got more coming next year, possibly, in terms of, because of Nexus and because of the tournament play. You just saw what we did, the last, or what was done there just 2 weeks ago with the tournament, the other big tournament, and on the college level. But, there's other things that they can do. There's other things that can connect. I mean, how do we connect? I mean, because let's face it, they have a lot. I mean, we have hotel rooms. We're going to need more. What else can be built down there? Yeah. Do we need something closer, closer to the Aud or Nexus, that's really accessible for families and people, and who builds that, who does that, and what else do we add to it? So I think there's a lot of other things. I think there's a lot of possibilities, and the Oneidas have been a leader in tourism, so they can obviously. We're going to have more discussions.
All right.
I want to ask you about the homeless situation. Sure. You said each night the county, along with partners, houses between 75 and 175 people a night in temporary housing. You also mentioned.
Is it that many per night?
It is, and that's as we got into the homeless thing and talking to some of the community leaders and especially Father Joe Salerno was at my event yesterday, and I had a meeting with Father Joe few months ago when the homeless thing was and Father Joe was like others, what can we do? I mean, what's being done? And when I explained that to him, I go, look, what people don't see is what we do on every night. And he didn't know that, and other people don't. We deal with emergencies all the time. We deal with families all the time that are displaced, and with either individuals or people with children, or whether it's single mothers with children. All of that. That's an ongoing problem, unfortunately. And so we are placing people to that number.
Yeah.
Every day somewhere, and then you have that overflow that Reverend Ballman takes care of at Cornerstone, or the rescue mission does in the low barrier shelter that I mentioned, or
I want to ask you about the low barrier. Go ahead.
The others, and so I mean those are kind of the overflows that, for whatever reason, don't want to get involved into the system that requires, because the people that we do house on those temporary bases, we work afterwards with them, or during that time with them, to get them placed, or to get them the assistance they need to move into their own apartment in that regard. And
is the number higher? Is the number higher today?
It tends to. It has been the last couple of years. I think and I think the pandemic. Obviously, I know we point a lot to the pandemic, but it really did change the dynamics on
changed everything.
It changed
really
everything.
Changed
it really did
a lot.
So the number is higher.
There's been talk, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, about a low barrier shelter in the area, and that we did. So you made reference to that in the speech, and you mentioned the rescue mission and ICANN.
Right.
So is that something new or something you're trying
to
do?
It's
because
new.
People have said
we did the low barrier. We began it earlier, or at the end of beginning of this year with the rescue mission. We put an RFP out for that. Last year, and then the rescue mission was one. We could use another one because, again, low barrier means it's not, it's for it's a shelter in that regard, but it's low barrier in that it doesn't require all of the the
sobriety,
programming,
right?
And sobriety in that regard. Although we try to it's policed in the sense of not police, but it's it's tracked and kept an eye on, but it's also trying to design to as you get these these people in who are homeless, to try to you still try to move them into programming, into some and try to determine, is it a mental health issue, is it a substance use disorder, is it just that they're displaced and they just don't know where to go. So low barriers are easier, a little more of a shelter, and a little more you can come back again. I mean, so that it's not just a one and done kind of thing.
It's just because of that fire over off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the street.
Mandeville Street.
Mandeville, yes. And there were, I don't know, they said some reports 30 people living there.
Yeah,
there was talk about we need a low barrier shelter for these individuals. Otherwise, they're just going to keep breaking into homes and kind of camping out there.
Yeah.
So but the low barrier RFP through Rescue Mission, that predated that?
It did.
So
It
there
did.
is still a
There's
problem
still-
where we have dozens of
there's
people
no question.
living.
Well, and you have a lot of the term squatters as people go into vacant houses, and that's what happened on Mandeville Street. That really shouldn't have been the case, especially when you're supposed to be taking a look at these things, and unfortunately it happens, and you do have people that just refuse to go and participate in any kind of regulated shelter or low barrier shelter, or when we reach out, and ICANN is our partner on the street engagement, in which we go literally right to them in that instance and say, we want to get you help, we want to get you this assistance. Now some of them just run away,
right?
Because
it is
you
interesting,
can't force them.
right?
You can't force
them,
whether it is mental health, whether it is drug addiction. And some of them, it's funny, we find that because of that substance use or mental issues, have apartments. We found one of the things we found when we emptied out Cornerstone that time with the tent city, that a few of the people that were there, I mean, there weren't a lot of people there. There were probably 9 or 10 or whatever the number was, but I think 3 or 4 of them actually had apartments, and assistance, and we're getting provisions, but because of mental health issues, chose to live on the street. It's a bigger problem than everybody sees when you get into the really nuts and bolts of each individual.
I know we're talking about being humane, and we have to take care of these people. Sure. On the other hand, you're bringing in new business to the area. Mm-hmm. There's new potential business, people that are considering investing locally, and you go over by the auditorium and there's somebody out there panhandling.
Sure.
Can't there be a law where you need a permit, or if you want to do a demonstration, you're supposed to have a permit? If you want to do a food truck, you're supposed to have a permit. Why shouldn't there be a permit for something like that?
That's a greater question, than obviously that every city is dealing with, and every larger municipalities. I mean, and obviously New York City, LA, the big cities, but
somewhat new for us, though.
Everybody's dealing with homelessness, and for anybody to say we don't have a problem, it's not true.
But are those people homeless?
We don't know. That's the other thing. When the people that have been on the street corners, especially in near the auditorium, near John Street, near other parts in Utica, and even in New Hartford, we worked with UPD, with our caseworkers going to those individuals, and say with the signs that no money, have to feed children, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
And again, they run.
Yeah, they don't want to
take off.
Yep.
They deny, they refuse, they leave, they come back then the next day or 2 days later. So we're in a world in which you can't force that. You can't arrest them.
The one female that's over on Burstone Road regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Out in the middle of
Hartford Shopping Center too. I thought she was up there.
Oh, it could be. But this was right as you're turning, you're coming up Burstone, and then
Utica College.
Before you get to Utica College, you turn left to go onto the arterial, and my God, she just looks so ill and out in the cold, and but they're every single day.
And I know that we talk about this, and regardless of the shelters, there is assistance.
Right.
People choose to get that. Now it's not again, and then you fall into the aspect of, okay, is it public assistance? Is it SSI? Is there a disability there that they could get? Are they veterans?
Right.
We know that there are veterans that that are homeless and that we've dealt with. So, there are, the bottom line is there are means of which that this doesn't have to occur for those individuals, but they choose not to, or because of their illness or whatever, You can't.
I have 1 minute left. Anything you want to hit on that you want people to remember from yesterday?
No, I just, I think we're moving forward. I talked about the shocking things that we talked about over the years and what we did accomplish. And I also, looked at moving forward about, and I thought, one line at the end was, we used to be, and I think this is true, we were a community that was always, what if? What if we get a chip fab? What if we can build the ON? What if we can build?
It's happening all of a sudden.
What if we build a new hospital? What if we did whatever? And now it's what's next? It's like what are we going to do next? And that's that's up to everybody to come together and do it.
Can I just leave you with this? I think your list of accomplishments is really amazing. To me, that was the real shocker, to be like, wow, in the last several years, this community was able to achieve this. But on the mental health note, I just want to remind people here, and you talked about this, 37% of high school students today said they stopped doing usual activities during the pandemic. 25% said they had no one to talk to. 13% contemplated suicide. Right. This isn't people living on the street. These are high school students.
And that was a big issue. We want to look at mental health in terms of what we can do in the schools. The way we did public safety in the schools, I think we have to look at how we do it. I think it is our role. We do have a role in it. Some would say, leave it to the schools. Well, no, it's about mental health and it's about public health, and we need to be more involved. And the food program that with Dr. Cheryl Miner from Watson Williams that we're going to get involved in. They're kids that are not eating on the weekends. That's a tragedy. And that really can't continue. And that's another statistic that was in the TAP survey that we've seen, that kids go hungry, and and the only way they get a good meal is when they're in school. Yeah. And that's another tragedy. So a lot of other issues there. The accomplishments were not done alone, as I said. It's not done by that's CDEM, and it's the Board of Legislators, other partners, a lot of agencies, a lot of hard work. And
well, you would know there is a problem when you look at what Steve Spurbeck has done and his family has done with Sleep in Heavenly Peace.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The fact that there are so many kids out there that don't sleep on a bed, and so you got to be thinking those kids probably are in a disadvantaged position when it comes to other things like eating and having the right supplies for school, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So,
I think, the caseworker thing I talked about with children that are neglected, and it's all ages. We're not just talking about infants. Obviously, they're all a major concern. But, when they go into these homes, they see that. They see kids sleeping on a porch or on, whether it's closed in or in a hallway or whatever. On a blown up, a foam, blown up mattress.
County Executive Anthony Pacini, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. And we got a break. Fox News coming up, and then Jeff with an update. WIBX Utica Rome, it's 8:02.
Greetings, Sebastian Gorka here. For years, I've mentioned how much Relief Factor has helped the pain in my lower back. Gary from Ohio shared his experience too. He writes, I tried Relief Factor due to its botanical ingredients to reduce pain in my shoulder, knee, and lower back. After just a few weeks, the knee pain was completely gone, and the shoulder and back pain were reduced quite a bit. I can now exercise much more comfortably and practically pain-free. Thank you, Relief Factor. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. So it looks like a lot of people are thanking Relief Factor. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick start at the reduced price of $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Feel the difference with Relief Factor. relieffactor.com.
A state investigation in Maryland finds more than 150 Catholic priests and others associated with the Archdiocese of Baltimore sexually abused more than 600 children over the past 80 years. The state's former attorney general announced the start of that investigation in 2019. 3 police officers are shot and wounded in Kansas City, Kansas during an undercover drug bust.
KCK Police Chief Carl Oakman says the officers were part of a narcotics and tactical unit that was following up on an investigation into a fentanyl deal, leading police to execute an arrest warrant.
During the execution of the arrest, individuals in the car got into a gun battle with the police officers.
3 officers suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries in the shooting. Oakman says fentanyl has become a growing problem in Kansas City, comparing it to the crack cocaine epidemic of the 90s.
The violence, the guns, just about every fentanyl search warrant that we get anywhere from 2 to 5 guns.
At least 3 suspects were also injured. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
A man who was there recording the 2021 Capitol riot gets his sentence.
A Texas man who worked for conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' website gets sentenced to 4 months home confinement for entering the Capitol building during the riot. Samuel Montoya was a video editor for InfoWars at the time. He happened to capture footage of a Capitol Police officer fatally shooting unarmed protester Ashley Babbitt. Montoya has called himself a member of the media, adding he regrets his approach to filming and reporting on the events that day. The judge says Montoya doesn't get a free pass just because he considered himself a journalist. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
Stock futures are flat ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. And Los Angeles Angels pitcher Shohei Ohtani makes history as the first player to violate new pitch clock violations on the mound and at the plate. Umpires say he took too long to throw a pitch, awarding the batter a ball, later giving him a strike when he took too long to get ready in the batter's box. Those rules have been working to speed games up. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News.
Sunshine trying to peek through the clouds. We have 54 degrees. WIBX News Time is 8:05. This news update is brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica. Well, we just spoke with him, but Oneida County Executive Anthony Picenti took aim at Albany in a scathing State of the County address yesterday, calling out actions by state lawmakers as among the largest issues facing county residents. Bad ideas, worse execution, with zero input from local governments and agencies that actually do the work every day. He was talking about several issues, including bail reform, mental health issues locally, homelessness, and renewable energy. However, Picenti concluded that we are no longer the community that asks, what if? Instead, we ask, what's next? You can read more of his speech on our website at WIBX950.com, and it also links to a full video broadcast because it was streamed live yesterday. You can get that link on our website at WIBX950.com. A big face-off coming this weekend between Utica police officers and Utica firefighters. They'll meet on the ice at the Adirondack Bank Center on Saturday afternoon in a charity hockey game to benefit the Save of the Day Foundation. The UPD versus UFD hockey game comes on the heels of another sporting event featuring local law enforcement. The annual First Responders Cup soccer tournament was recently held at the Adirondack Bank Center. To the game this weekend, it is set for a 3 p.m. start on Saturday afternoon. Admission to the Utica Fire versus Utica Police hockey game is free, but officials say a donation to the Save of the Day Foundation would be greatly appreciated. Artifacts from the September 11th terrorist attacks will be coming to an Oneida County community later this month. That community is Rome. The Tunnel to Towers Never Forget mobile exhibit is going to be at the Griffiths Business and Technology Park in Rome, April 20th through the 23rd. People will get a chance to see things like the building pieces that came off, along with items from the rubble after the Twin Towers collapsed. Firefighters are also going to be available to discuss their experiences at Ground Zero. And Bill, I mentioned this last hour. Breeze Airlines out of Syracuse extending its sale on flights from Hancock International Airport to 3 popular destinations. Flights to Charleston, South Carolina, starting at $49 for a limited time. That's April 19th through May 23rd. Las Vegas for $110, September 6th through November 13th. And to Tampa, Florida for $54, again, April 19th through May 23rd. Full details online at flybreeze.com. Here's your forecast on WIBX.
I'm Eyewitness News Chief Meteorologist Craig Flint at the WIBX Weather Center today. Cooler, but still mild. Lingering rain showers taper, then partly to mostly sunny. Turning windy and cooler by late day. Temperatures drop into the 40s. Tonight, mainly clear. Colder, low near 35. And on Friday, a mixture of sunshine and clouds. Windy and rather cool. A high near 45. For more on your local forecast, tune to Eyewitness News at 6 on WUTR. I'm meteorologist Craig Flint on WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM.
All right, a quick check on sports. Hello, friends. The Masters gets underway today. Tiger Woods, Wayne is telling me Tiger Woods gets to tee off at 10:18 this morning.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, 10:18 this morning.
Yeah.
The Mets were swept yesterday by the Brewers, a walk-off victory for Milwaukee, 7-6 the final. This after Pete Alonso had 2 home runs. Adam Ottavino tagged with the loss. He allowed that walk-off homer in the bottom of the ninth inning. Justin Verlander's MRI is back. It shows reduced inflammation. He'll continue to throw, but will not start for the time being for the Mets. And the Yankees took the rubber match against the Phillies, a final of 4-2, Garrett Cole getting his second win of the season. The Knicks beat the Pacers 138-129. Their winning streak is up to 5 games. The Nets over the Pistons 123-108. They've won 4 of their last 5. The Utica Comets have 5 games left in the regular season. The next 4 will be at home. That includes Friday night against Toronto and Saturday night against Rochester. And one NFL executive at least knows what he's talking about and completely agrees with me, Richard. According to The Athletic, an unnamed NFL executive recently ripped into the Giants for their decision to sign Danny Jones to a long-term contract. Instead, he thought they should have invested more money in Saquon Barkley. The Giants signed Jones to a 4-year, $160 million contract earlier this offseason. That guy deserves a raise.
Well, and I got to say that you mentioned Richard Manning Cheesecake, meteorologist, is telling us 9 days after today, 9 straight days of sunshine with temperatures in the 70s and even as high as the 80s for a couple of days.
Come on.
We're going to be living in summertime next week. So
hey, listen,
prepare
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I am all for it as well. Listen, if you're living with pain, you don't have to live with pain. We're talking about Dr. Hyder and Omni Surgery Center located in the Business Park and at French Road, their location on French Road. There's a reason why the website is killpain.com, killpain.com. I have to say my father went through this procedure, a non-invasive injection into the back that completely changed his life. He was unable to sleep, unable to walk properly. The pain was constant. It just wouldn't go away. And Dr. Hyder, it was nothing short of a miracle. When you're helping him walk in and he's able to walk out after the procedure, that's pretty miraculous, I have to say. And they are a facility that just cares. Omni Surgery Center. If you're suffering from pain, call them today, 315-765-8448. Dr. Hyder is brilliant. Where modern technology meets cutting-edge surgery. Go to the website, killpain.com. Omni Surgery Center, killpain.com.
Just admit it, you love yard sales, but only one thing beats driving around looking for them. Attending the world's largest yard sale. Great news, it's back and bigger than ever before. Who thought it could get bigger? The world's largest yard sale is coming to the Herkimer County Fairgrounds on Saturday, June 3rd. This is your chance to sell your stuff to the thousands who attend the world's largest yard sale. It sure beats putting up your own yard sale signs all around town, hoping for a crowd. At the world's largest yard sale, all you have to do is get a booth, and you get to keep all the profit on everything you sell. Cha-ching! Hurry and reserve your booth today, because it's filling up quickly at a record pace. The world's largest yard sale, Saturday, June 3rd, at the Herkimer County Fairgrounds.
Brought to you by the Potting Shed Antiques. Sponsored by Standard Heating, Cooling, and Insulating, and Oak Hill Motors RV and Marine. Find out more on this station's app.
Hi, this is Bill Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We are expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville. They are another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy and fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here is William Schaub from the newest Gates Cole agency, North Country Estates Insurance in Lowville.
Working with us as an independent agent with this many companies, we will often call our clients and say, we're going to reduce your premium if you like. We have the companies that do well in New York and specifically this area. The coverages that we provide are commercial and personal insurance. That's the home, the auto, ATV, motorcycle. There's nothing more fun than taking care of a customer and being able to tell them that we're able to save them some money.
Proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York. Gates Cole Insurance. We'll take care of you.
Hello, I'm Lisa Altieri, Chief Clinical Officer for Hospice and Palliative Care, and the family of a patient shared with me their gratitude to Hospice. We lost our sibling after a courageous battle with cancer. From the very first meeting with hospice, our sister was assured by every hospice person that she would remain in control and that her wishes would be carried out. That knowledge sustained her and took an enormous responsibility off her family members. In the weeks that followed, hospice provided an incredible amount of support and comfort to her and our entire family. Every person from hospice answered our questions, soothed our nerves, and provided comfort and guidance to each of us, all while respecting her privacy and dignity. We can't begin to express to you how much that meant to our family.
Hospice and Palliative Care, servicing Oneida, Herkimer, and Madison County. Middle Settlement Road, New Hartford, 315-735-6484, or visit us at hospicecareinc.org. Hospice and Palliative Care. When you need us most.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties. FoundationHOC.org. We're your community foundation. Working to build a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too. The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, it's 8:15, and Lance and Lee said, was it Lance and Lee or somebody from New Hartford, who said, what you ought to do is get the district attorney in and see how he would have handled this situation if he were the DA in Manhattan with President Trump. What do you think of all of this case? And you're hearing from people and again, if you're on the side of Trump, this is ridiculous. This is, statute of limitations has expired. This is a misdemeanor. We wouldn't charge a president with any of this. But if you're on the other side, you're saying, it's all in what we don't know yet. These could very well be serious charges. What is your take? Who is telling the truth, or is it somewhere smack dab in the middle?
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Scott McNamara.
So I don't know, to be honest with the answer to the question, because there's a lot of speculation going on because nobody knows what the testimony was before the grand jury because none of that's been released. So I don't know what evidence they have. I mean, I've seen D.A. Bragg's press conference where he said there was new evidence. But I would say this much, and I get it. If you like somebody when they get charged, it's BS. And if you don't like somebody, it's like, oh, good. And we've got a lot of that going on. But here's the way I see it as a DA. Number one, most people that become prosecutors do believe that nobody's above the law and that everybody should be treated equally and that certain people shouldn't get pushes. And when I say pushes, we look the other way on certain people. And so that part of it, if people that, and I'll never convince people that love Donald Trump, they're just never going to see it this way. But if you start with that understanding, and then you go and you look at the DA Bragg, he's a man of color. I don't know his background, but he clearly, his base in the community that he represents includes Harlem.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It includes, a lot of poor people and people that haven't been blessed with the money in the stuff that Donald Trump has. And by the way, a lot of Donald Trump's buildings are within that same jurisdiction, Manhattan. So, from his standpoint, I can sort of understand where he would say, hey, listen, this system, our criminal justice system on a daily basis really does affect a lot of people of color and it affects a lot of people that are poor. and more so than it ever affects rich people. So I can totally understand where someone would look at that in his position and say, hey, listen, why should this man who owns half of one whole side of Manhattan, which I that's an exaggeration, but he does own a huge section of Manhattan.
You see his name on the buildings.
On the
quite
buildings
a lot,
he's driving by. Why
They're all
should
over.
he get a push? And the other part that, the only part that kind of irks me a little bit is I hear all these people saying, you're wasting your time, you're doing this. I don't know if he's wasting his time, but I do believe this much. That we prosecute people every single day in Oneida County that commit minor offenses. And where do people like me start drawing the line if we all of a sudden say, hey, listen, that's not a big deal? Well, I mean, I'll just give you the minorest of things that I think. Driver not wearing a seatbelt. Honestly, on a personal level, I could care.
Yeah.
If you don't wear your seatbelt and you get in a car accident, you get killed, that's your problem.
Right.
I mean, but we still prosecute it because the law was passed and it's against the law. That's not even a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So, it's like, where do we draw the line for these things? And then the flip side of that always is this. What would people think if, and I'll just use myself, I won't use another DA, but what would people think if all my political friends, I found out they did something wrong and I just bury it, hide it, and I've had to take on people. And it's kind of funny because the other day, as you guys know, I was away. I was out of town. And in the morning, I happened to be listening to CNN because everybody's trying to figure out what's going on with Donald Trump. Yeah. And they actually referenced one of the cases from Oneida County when the guy said, listen, his argument is that this is all political and he's the only political person that's ever been prosecuted. In the list of cases that the person referenced, and he said, I've studied this in New York State, that's not true. He mentioned a case out of Oneida County, John Doty. He didn't say it as Doty. He said John Dote, and because and there's a person you used to have on here all the time.
He used to have a show on.
Well, we got most of our tips, whether they were accurate or not, from John.
Right. So, but we were in. It would have been much easier. Trust me, at that point in my career, I was a very new DA. I think I had been the DA for a couple of years. And the prosecutor from my office that handled it is now a county court judge. That's Rob Bauer. And we looked at it, and, we weren't going to give him a pass. And trust me, it would have been easier to give him a pass. I have people that still don't speak to me because of the prosecution of that case.
Wow.
And I think it would surprise. I'm not going to name them, but I was surprised. There's a couple of people. It would really surprise people if they knew that these people still hold a grudge for that, and I'm sure other things, but blame that prosecution for things in their life.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, but in that situation, the allocations in that case, and he was convicted and went to jail for it, was that he was stealing the money from the Independence Party. And, and the reality is I was a victim of that. We didn't deal with my money, but I wrote a check out to the Independence Party. And when we started doing the investigation, I said, for the heck of it, let me flip the check over and look at the back side of my canceled check and see what account it went to. It went to his account. Never made it to the Independence Party.
Wow.
So there was a lot going on there. And there's a lot of people that came up to me and said stuff that, it was like, why are you picking on him? This is all political. None of it. It was not political.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you find it, like you had said, it would be easier to not get into it because you're walking into a hornet's nest.
It would have been so much easier not to. And
yeah.
we did another one too with he was the chairman of the Republican Party and then and that got prosecuted and it got overturned on appeal. That case would have been. But when you get an allegation that comes before you, what's the right thing to do? Look the other way because this is going to be a nightmare?
Well, let me ask you this. So in the example you gave with the Doty case, that was donations supposed to be coming to a political party that were going into a personal account.
Correct.
The similarity there with the Trump case is the false filing of a document, not necessarily that he was taking money and diverting it to the wrong a personal account. Or is it?
I never donated money to Donald Trump. That might surprise some people that know me.
I'm shocked by that. I did not know that.
But I never donated money to him. But if I did donate money to him, I clearly would not have wanted my money to be used to pay off a behind-the-scenes, as they're
Relationship,
calling it,
yeah, fair.
and it's basically you're paying someone to keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be what I gave my money for. If I donated
Okay, I
money
see
to that,
that,
I
yeah.
want my money to go towards campaigns, commercials, an agenda. I wouldn't want my money's not paying off, a porn star to keep her mouth shut about something that allegedly happened, years before, or to pay off a playmate, a Playboy playmate, and so that she didn't tell her story or whatever. And now apparently there's a third one. And I don't know this personally. I'm just telling you what I've seen
In the news.
in the public arena. Is it something about a child?
Can you tell me that there's a cover up of a possible child who was
Right.
born. So can you tell me though, is there a difference? And I would imagine there is. And they seem to be where the DA is going here. A difference between I have paid this money, this hush money, to protect my marriage versus I have paid this hush money to protect my campaign. Those are two very different things, aren't they?
And I can't answer that question because I don't know what the theory was that they presented to the grand jury.
Yeah.
But it would seem from a distance, and I'm just speculating now. I have no idea. But the thing to me, first of all, you can pay anyone to keep their mouth shut. That's not a
Right.
crime. He can do
Right.
that. But where I think it becomes very complicated is how they structured that payment, at least to me. As I've always said, and even to my friends who are diehard, I've got a couple of friends that are diehard Trump supporters, and I said, if you got caught cheating on your taxes, you're going to get prosecuted. And, and that's kind of how I've thought of this. And I don't know because I'm just speculating like everybody else. But if you structure something as legal fees and you put it on your income tax return and you say, hey, listen, I paid $150 to, attorney A as legal fees, and you didn't, you paid it as basically a bribe to keep your mouth closed, that's not a legal fee. And so you can't declare that
Right.
you can't declare that as a business expense, and it's really more of a personal expense than it is, whatever the company is. So, that's what I've always thought the problem was. I don't know why they waited so long. I don't know what their theory is. I'm guessing. Well, first of all, when he was president of the United States, I don't know this because I've never looked into it. I've never had the chance to study it, but I think the time got told, like the statute of limitations stops because you can't prosecute a sitting president for a state offense.
So that's where
that's where I'm guessing.
Yeah,
so when I
yeah.
hear all that, but fortunately I've never had to do any research on that, and God, please don't let me have to worry about that in the last few months of my career.
Speaking with the county DA, Scott McNamara, what do you have?
And just to follow up to that, I did see on the same day that he was arraigned, there was a court ruling. I didn't know if you have any perspective on this. A court ruling that went against Stormy Daniels. She has to pay another $150,000. Her toll, if you will, is up to over $600,000 that she owes Trump for legal fees and other things. And I guess, is that for violating the non-disclosure agreement? Do you know?
I don't know that.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't. This might surprise a lot of people. I don't pay a lot of attention to all of this. I think the one thing that most Americans feel is why are we relitigating something that was litigated a couple times? And I think that's where some people have an issue with it. And once again, I don't know. I know I saw the DA say he had new stuff come forward, but I think you have to go back in history, though, and look at different things that happened. There was an investigation in that office under the prior DA. When Bragg took over, from what I've heard, once again, it's only through media outlets, so, I don't know how much
50-50 whether it's true.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to slam the media.
Sorry.
No, but I don't know, because I have one of those jobs where you guys don't always know what I know.
Sure, yeah.
And so I don't say that in a bad way, but there's a lot of times I know stuff you guys just don't know. And so I don't know all of those things. And knowing that part of the system, I don't know why it went from, the investigation kind of stopped. Then there was all the scuttle. Then the investigation picked up again. And I know that there was also something going on where one of the ADAs that worked on the case under Cy Vance left the office. Then I think he wrote a book or something. Then there was a lawsuit to stop the book from being published, or something was going on with that.
Yeah.
That they felt that was leaking grand jury information or something like that. So there's been a lot going on with this case, and it is a complicated situation. But I totally would understand, and I have no reason to doubt the DA Bragg, when he said that nobody's above the law.
Yeah,
and I understand that.
And the other thing is, we don't know what the testimony is.
Exactly.
There could be that smoking gun lying within, and you would hope that it's a pretty big deal, considering we're going after a former president.
You would. Well, I wouldn't. If God forbid, if somebody of that magnitude got charged here, you don't want to swing and miss at somebody like that. You just don't. And so, I don't know. I don't know. And well, time will tell. I will say this much: probably the very first motion that's going to be made in this whole case, which would surprise me if it wasn't, was to have the grand jury minutes reviewed, and then they'll make a motion to dismiss the indictment, saying that the grand jury, what was presented to the grand jury, was legally insufficient to support the indictment that was returned. That happens all the time. I mean, I'm sure his lawyers are getting paid a lot of money. That's the first thing I would do if I was his attorney.
Finally, I want to ask you, if we can, about all this stuff going on at schools. We call it swatting, right? Phoning in false reports of attacks, of a lone gunman,
shootings,
etc.
bombing,
all of this, and in Albany, targeting teachers.
Right. Yeah.
This is, how do we?
It's disgusting.
In a day and age where you can hide behind a firewall, if you will, that will not disclose your position, where you're actually doing this from. It's pretty tough for law enforcement.
It's very tough for law enforcement because they're doing, obviously they're using fake email addresses when they're mailing these things out, and they're hiding their identity. It's terrible because it doesn't just affect police. It doesn't just affect you guys as the media reporting it.
Right.
I mean, the children and the parents of the children, because we see it so much on TV now. You see what can really happen, and I think it really puts a huge panic in the whole, community, even when they find out it was fake. And then what happens is then they feel like the school didn't do enough, or there was, there's always that going on because, everyone gets so unnerved. But, I don't know how we stop that. I mean, I never, when I was growing up, I never even dreamt of calling and, pulling back then it was pulling the fire alarm or whatever they did, I couldn't imagine. But, now it's like, it seems every week we're getting one of these, swatting things. And I've seen it. Like, there was a swatting a few years ago in Waterville where somebody called in this crazy thing that this guy had killed somebody, and I don't remember all the facts, but I remember it was so significant, the allegation, that I was home that night. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I got the notification. I said, I literally said to my wife, I said, I got to go up to Waterville and see what the heck's going on. It sounds like I got a murder, suicide, or we got a murder and somebody running around with a gun, and I'm like, oh my God, and I get up there and they go, oh, it's all fake.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just a quick follow-up on a couple of points here. When you mentioned being in high school and you would have never thought of this, I had the thought, it just occurred to me, if this is happening in Albany and Buffalo and southern New York and central New York, this isn't a high school kid who says, let's pull a prank. It just made me think that this
could be an adult.
A coordinated effort by an adult to think that far in advance that we want to cancel school here and here and here and here. Any thought on that?
I would agree with that. It doesn't sound like, historically, and I've been in the DA's office for over 30 years, historically, a lot of times what we would see is somebody would call in the prank to the school, and sometimes they actually would surprise us. It was because somebody wanted to take a test, or something. It was something relatively insignificant, but these are across the state. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, for example, the one just the other day was across the state. I mean, Waterville was one of the schools. And then that was the bombs in the school.
Yeah.
But that sounded more like it might have been somebody trying to extort money from the school districts. And then the one prior to that was sent all over the place. And I agree with you. It seems like it's somebody that's getting off on it. That's what swatting is, though. The swatting whole concept is that somebody's sitting back laughing like, this is great, look what we've got, look at what we did. And it started off where if I didn't like you, then I called something in on you, and next thing you know, you got the police at your door going, what are you talking about? I didn't
Sure.
just beat up my wife or my girlfriend, or and then it went from that to more of these mass allegations.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to ask as well, you mentioned Waterville. My understanding was students were on the bus for upwards of 2.5, 3 hours, but they wanted to make sure that the building was safe. The thought was it was a prank, but you don't want to assume in that situation.
You can't make a mistake on that.
Yeah.
You just can't.
County DA Scott McNamara, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
As always, we appreciate it. Let me take a 1-minute break, maybe 90 seconds. And we'll come right back with Mayor Rob Palmieri, who had his State of the City address 2 days ago. Coming right up at WIBX.
Are you sick of being just a number or doing a mindless job? Become a craftsman in a trade. Become an IBEW electrician. The IBEW and the Electrician Training Alliance will give you all the tools necessary at their state-of-the-art training facility. Earn as you learn. Paid training while you get your certification. What are you waiting for? Become an IBEW Local 43 electrician. Call or go online today to learn more. Find your career at IBEW and let the Electrician Training Alliance light up your future.
Hi, this is Tom Cole from Gates Cole Insurance with exciting news. We're expanding with a couple of new offices in our area. One new location is Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville. They're another independent insurance agency that takes pride in making customers happy. That fits our culture at Gates Cole perfectly. Here's Greg Lee from the newest Gates Cole location, Tall Pines Insurance in Boonville.
The reason why I got into insurance was I wanted to allow my father the opportunity to retire and give back to my community. We had the Boonville fire that wiped out a large area down here for us a few years ago, and so we showed up at the fire. We were right there, ground zero, with our insureds, who made sure that they were taken care of quickly. We were able to get people the money that they needed to cover their expenses from that loss.
For insurance for your home, auto, business, and just about everything else, trust your local independent insurance agency, Gates Cole Insurance. Proudly representing Finger Lakes Fire and Casualty Company of Trumansburg, New York.
River Hills Properties, fastest growing real estate company in central New York. Nobody sells homes like River Hills. In fact, already this morning I've had a conversation with Andrew Dominio on a property. Already. He's up and working bright and early in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, what do I have to do? Let's sell some houses. It's a commitment to the buyer, the seller. And if you list with River Hills, it is a total commitment to the seller. That your listing agent becomes an amazing asset for you, working every step of the process from start to finish, from the very beginning till the very end. If you need to prep the house and get it ready to sell, they're there not only for advice but assistance as well. And the book is created. All of there is about the home, which helps answer questions for a potential buyer. And every time your house is shown, nobody's walking through your house without your listing agent there, making sure the house is properly set and ready to go, putting your best foot forward, and they keep an eye on the property as well, and can answer questions on the fly to help speed up the process. All of this lowers the stress level of selling a home. And doesn't that, that's just a priceless aspect of the whole thing. In Barneville, Little Falls, Utica, or in all of upstate New York, it's riverhillspropertiesllc.com. Call 315-896-1009. Nobody sells homes like River Hills Properties.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, on the phone line right now, Mayor Rob Palmieri gave his State of the City address just a couple of days ago, and he's on the line. And Mayor, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Good, and I believe you have Marcus Phillips there with you as well.
Who's he?
I have no idea. We were wondering the same thing.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Marcus.
So let's talk about the state of the city. Your last state of the city address. Give us your take in a nutshell.
Well, the nutshell was, let's the past, the present, and the future. You learn from the past. You understand the present, and you plan for the future. And I think it was a synopsis of where the city, when I took office, where we were. You had a negative $15,000 fund balance. You had a previous administration has spent $8 million to cover payroll. We're all downgraded by three of the financial institutes. Very little economic development going on. And then now if you move to where we are today, we've been upgraded. We have roughly $14.2 million of our fund balance. Our property tax is putting more properties back on tax rolls, and our sales tax is robust. And as I use all my little marketing tools, Utica starts with you. We're moving up, Utica proud, in the best little city in America. The city is in the best shape to spend for my lifetime. So in a nutshell, our partnerships with all our government officials, private developers, entrepreneurs, the private sector, our residents, have made the city the second fastest growing city in New York State. And, these are all facts. These are not opinions. So I'm very proud of where we have come from. I have an exceptional staff that has worked tirelessly to have a passion and a drive to bring the city to the point where it should have been for many, many, many years.
All right.
That is a big win. I do think that's a major accomplishment, the way you were able to turn the finances around for the city. Will that continue into the next administration? I had some people suggesting maybe that the way this budget was structured, the streak of surpluses would come to an end this budget.
So let me just, everyone has opinions, and we all know we have some of the naysayers out there. Our sales tax is robust. If you remember, we cut our payroll because we had no choice back in 2012 by roughly 20%. The plan that we put forward is the plan that we are now moving into the future with. As I just said when I got on the phone with you, is the fact that you learn from the past. So if we have not learned from the past, understand where we are, plan for the future. The next administration is getting a well-oiled machine with more and more things coming online as we speak. So it really will be up to the administration, but success is in the hands of the residents and the new administration, and they too take foothold into the city.
Who do you support for your replacement?
Bill, but you're not going to run.
Well, I'd move into the city for that if you want to do it. I think 24 hours to pull this off. Let's do it.
You know what? Listen, I have not at this point. I've got so much going on at this point. We're going to see what transpires after the primary, and we'll see who's got the vision, understanding, and has a grasp. I have a good working relationship with all four of the candidates that are running. I've talked to all four, and then, we'll just have to see what transpires.
Okay.
Mayor, I saw earlier this week, I believe the bid from Bowers to purchase the medical office building, or what will be a medical office building, went through. Will you address why you think that's a good thing for the city, and why it shouldn't be part of MVHS? And
well, let me go back. Let's I use the let's learn from the past. When that was transpiring multiple years ago, and that was part of the parcels that I believe was vital, I sat in my conference room with the entire staff of NVHS, and I theoretically begged them, and I said, for the difference in the price, make sure you purchase that property, whatever it may be. The difference, I believe they were asking 1.1, and I think the offer was, again, roughly $700,000. I sat with them in my conference room, and I said, listen, this is part of your larger picture. You need to assemble that for the difference. Take hold of it. And unfortunately, they did not. And multiple calls I've made into them, and so at least after the point of when the Bowers did have a purchase offer on that, put a phone call into them, have dialogue, communication, and unfortunately, they did not. So are you asking me, do I think it's a good idea? I think a good idea is dialogue and communication. Sometimes you got to bury the hatch. Sometimes you got to not worry about the personalities of what transpired. And this is, quite frankly, how my administration has moved forward. There's a lot of times I disagree with somebody, but at the end of the day, I am voted in by the residents to work with everyone. So the opportunity was there. It's an unfortunate time at this time. I still think there's an opportunity if they would reach out to the Bowers Group to see if there's something that could be amicable for all. At the end of the day, you want something that's going to be beneficial from the medical end of it, from the practical end of it, from the parking end of it, that will be beneficial to all. So I still think there's an opportunity there. And as I said, I would wonderfully orchestrate something, but to this point, I can't make them meet.
I believe they have said that they did not want to work with Bowers. Is that correct?
So if that's what you're saying, Bill, I think
I'm not saying that.
Factually, I think they have the opportunity, and I think that's sad. I think you need to work with everyone. The mission here is a state-of-the-art health facility. The bottom line is a great city, and I think at sometimes you all have to work together. And if it doesn't work out, then you could go back and say, yes, we did sit down, we did talk, and it didn't work out the way we wanted to. By putting your head into the sand and saying, no, I'm not going to work with them, I think it's quite frankly where the city was for multiple years, why we never moved forward, because the personalities got in the way of progress.
Is there I know there's some question about some streets that in front of the hospital, who will actually own that property, whether it stays within the city or it's turned over to MVHS. Where does that stand? Has there been any progress on that?
Yeah, most of it has already been turned over. The members of the Common Council have turned over, I believe, most of the streets. The only street that may be a little bit different would be Cornelia Street, and that's where the public safety maintenance facility is, where we have impounded cars. We have vehicles that are part of the crime investigation. So we will continue to own that for the time being. Down the road, if the maintenance garage does move in the public safety, that will be an opportunity at that point to maybe look at it a little bit differently. But at this point, ingress for the Utica Police Department and the maintenance is an imperative. We will have an agreement with MVHS, so it'll be wonderful and will be a great thing for the parking garage and for the exit for the MVHS. But that one small portion will be retained by the city of Utica.
Okay. I have somebody saying, well, I'm always concerned about who the next mayor of Utica will be. As long as we have Paul Buckley still there, everything will be okay. Do you agree
Signed,
with that?
Paul Buckley.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
If anyone could be a survivor, Paul Buckley is a survivor.
There's no doubt he is. He is the.
Listen, on a very serious note, he does an outstanding job. Paul brings an awful lot to the public that sometimes the public are not aware of with city limits and the things that he does. So I guess, Paul is part of our success. And as much as me and Paul go back and forth and you and Paul go back and forth, he does a great job and he's got a great product.
Okay.
Yeah, love you, Buck. Hope you're listening, and good morning. I want to ask you about Harbor Point there. What do you see as an achievement since you took office with developing Harbor Point, and will anything be placed there before you're out of office?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Go ahead.
Okay,
So,
what?
It's been, working with the state, working with National Grid, working with all the other partners up there. Has it been challenging? Yeah, it sure has. Nothing moves as rapidly as I would like it to be, but you do have two individuals that are under contract at this point. One on the left side where you have the 1933 building, which is a very old historic building, which is going to be renovated. And alongside of that, it's going to be Rabash with a restaurant. To the right of that, which is DSA 1, you have Visions Hotel, Andy Patel and his group that are under contract. And so I think you'll see some work starting as early as late spring. And I think you'll see, again, because the environmentals on the opposite side of that, you'll see shovels in the ground for roads and infrastructure extremely very soon. So to the end of the day, Harbor is up and running, and I'm very, very pleased at this point that we have two great developers that will be in there, and the people will see this as a destination that it will be. It'll be connected to near the Nexus Center along Whitesboro Street, Bag Square east-west, the corridor of our downtown. It will be a destination that what you're trying to accomplish here is bringing people off the thruway, retaining the people who are living here, and again, extremely grow our sales tax and have a wonderful place, a quality of life for people to look at our city as, again, the best little city in America.
When would construction begin on roads, you said, along there, and when would the pedestrian bridge be going in?
The pedestrian bridges, we received a $2 million grant through the federal government for the study of that. So that study is going to be underway. That's going to take a little bit longer, obviously, for the funding, but also if you're working with railroad and where the crossover is going to be. But the bottom line is the state, the federal government sees the same vision that we see.
Yeah.
So I think you can see that within the next maybe 2 to 3 years.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I thought that was one of the DRI fundings from New York State. Was that they gave the money for that bridge?
No, that was federal government for the study of a pedestrian bridge going over into the harbor.
Yeah.
What you got from the state is where we put, if you look at when you come down into the corridor of Whitesboro Street, where there was a road changing in there, and also the walkways and the beautification, that was through the state, and that was through the federal government also. And then you'll see, I think it's been announced that through the Schumer's office, roughly of, I think it was $18 million of continuation of North Genesee Street to make it a safer venue than it's been. And the next level would be the thruway itself. That is not the safest area, and I think that's in the plans with DOT and New York State thruway. So I think, within the next 3-4 years, you're going to see a lot of activity as far as making this a much more safer venue for people coming off the thruway, coming into the harbor, the Nexus Center, the downtown, and Bag Square.
How long before the Palmieri indoor water theme park the construction begins on that?
Well, Bill, I'm sorry to say that you weren't at the uncovering of the state of the city.
I was not there. No.
But if you look at it and listen to it, again, I'm a salesman. I market, and I said that's what I was looking for, and I think you heard Andy Patel say, "Let's do it." I think that will be in the cards as we develop the harbor.
I'm sorry, one more follow-up. We reported almost a year ago to the day, April 4th of 2022, a project to connect a couple of Utica's hottest destinations with a soon-to-be recreational park is getting over $1 million, $1.2 million from New York State's Regional Economic Development Council. And in this story, we talk about the untapped potential of the waterfront and this pedestrian bridge. So was that, did we misreport that?
I believe, Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, that's money that's going to go for the promenade and the railings and the concrete going around it. I don't believe that's for the pedestrian bridge.
Okay.
Mayor Paul? Again, I may be wrong, but I do believe the $2 million that came in from federal government was really to study that. As you know, it's not going to be a $2 million project. You're looking at maybe $7-8 million for that pedestrian bridge, and we have not locked in a grant at this point to fund that.
Mayor Palmieri, thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Anytime, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Mayor Rob Palmieri. A couple quick things, and then I want to go to John Decker. A lot to talk about with John here. John is the chief White House correspondent with Gray TV, and I must say he is an attorney, which comes in handy.
The only one.
Which comes in handy these days, and the only one in the White House press corps. Right now, it's Steve Pawnee Mazda. The Move to Mazda sales event is back. 0.9% APR financing up to 36 months on all new 2023 Mazda CX-30s, CX-5s, and CX-50s. And if you've been noticing a lot more Mazda on the road, well, that's because there are a lot more Mazdas on the road. Maybe it's time that you drive an award-winning Mazda. Ricky Z says, let's move to Mazda. Let's make your deal on a brand new or pre-owned Mazda from the dealership that's achieved first place nationally in customer satisfaction, Steve Ponte Mazda. And portions of the program today brought to you by Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. And try their lattes, 14 different flavors. Of course, the drive-thru is lightning fast, fresh donuts, fresh bagels every day. And for your Easter dinner celebration, it's the most amazing snowflake rolls. You have to order them in advance and pick them up this weekend. Go through the drive-thru or in the store or call over there and get your name on the list. Snowflake rolls available this weekend for your Easter celebration.
And a reminder, our daily win cash code for the 8 a.m. hour, 760, your 8 a.m. hour win cash code at WIBX950.com, because I know we're going to run out of time, 760.
I'm going to the top with John. John Decker from Gray TV. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Bill. Hope you're doing well today. What a momentous week it has been.
Wow,
with the
it has,
arraignment
yeah.
of a former president, or arrest of a former president. Of course, that took place earlier this week in Manhattan. The next time that Donald Trump will appear in that courtroom again will be in December, early December. And then we're looking at a trial potentially happening in 2024, coinciding while he's trying to secure the Republican nomination. So pretty remarkable in terms of all of the events of this past week.
It is. So here's where I want to go. Of course, John, we trust you tremendously, being an attorney, someone with a legal mind, and as a journalist, you tell it like it is. You don't put your political beliefs in. You look at it almost forensically, and we appreciate that. So you hear, depending on which network you're listening to, which side you're listening to, this is either a travesty or wait and see, this could be something really, really big and no one's above the law. So which is it, or are we somewhere in the middle?
Well, this is the way I read it. I've read through this indictment, poured through it, and to me it seems like an incomplete indictment. It lacks specificity as things stand today. As you know, 34 felony counts against Donald Trump, falsifying business records in furtherance of another crime. And the problem here, Bill, is in this entire indictment, we don't know yet what that other crime is. The lawyers that represent former President Trump do not know yet what that other crime is. That's problematic. And the Manhattan DA needs to clear that up and clean that up. There will likely be a motion requesting that the Manhattan District Attorney provide more information as it relates to this indictment. Otherwise, this indictment has the potential of being dismissed, thrown out by the judge presiding over this case.
Listen, everything you hear about this judge is that this is who, by the way, has ties to us up here in upstate New York. Everything you hear about him from the attorneys is that there's no reason not to trust him. But, man, if you listen to former President Trump, he's attacking him, attacking his family and daughter. What's your take on the judge?
Well, my take on the judge, from what I understand, I do not know him. I've not practiced, before him in his courtroom, is that he is a well-respected judge. That is from people who have practiced before him in that courtroom. I think it would be wise of Donald Trump to refrain from his attacks on the judge presiding over his case, his criminal matter, wise to refrain from attacks on the prosecutor. But Donald Trump being Donald Trump, we saw what he did just the other night at Mar-a-Lago. He did exactly what the judge admonished both sides not to do. He said during the course of the arraignment to both sides, watch what you say about this case. But he said, I'm not going to impose a gag order. That's the judge saying that. He said it would be improper. The defendant has First Amendment rights. He's a unique defendant, former president, and he's running for president once again. So it's going to take a lot for there to be a gag order imposed upon the former president. I don't see that happening anytime soon, that's for sure.
And overall, when you look at this, whether you're the judge in this case or you're the DA or even the attorneys who are representing both sides, this cannot go unnoticed. The importance of this case, the fact that it is so unprecedented, and that we're dealing with a former president of the United States. How not only the country looks at this, but how the rest of the world looks at this.
Well, that's right. You know, the coverage on Tuesday was such that it was covered all around the world. This is something that does not happen every day. And I think that the former president acknowledged that in a post that he put on his social media site, Truth Social, on his way from Trump Tower down to that courthouse in Lower Manhattan. He said, "This is surreal." He said, I'm going to be arrested this afternoon." And I think that it dawned on him, maybe at that moment, exactly what was going to happen during the course of that afternoon for him. So, yeah, pretty remarkable. I mean, it is surreal to a certain extent. We do see this happening in other countries, leaders of Israel and France, just to name two, Italy, another one. Their leaders or former leaders have gone through the criminal justice system. This has never before happened in the United States.
And then I want to quickly touch on Mike Pence. I almost feel like Mike Pence is okay with testifying and really wants to tell his story, but feels that the right thing to do is to say, no, I don't want to testify. He seems to be following. I mean, he's not contesting this latest decision. He will testify, it seems.
He will testify. I don't know what more we're going to learn from the grand jury, for that matter, is going to learn from Michael Pence that we, the public, haven't already learned from Michael Pence in terms of what he's written in his book about his conversations, his communications with former President Trump in the days and weeks leading up to January 6th. The difference being, of course, this will be sworn testimony under oath. So that will likely happen, actually, sometime this month.